House of Representatives session deferred until Tuesday as border remarks trigger protest and political deadlock. Opposition parties warn of fresh parliamentary obstruction unless Prime Minister retracts border remarks. RSP Chair Rabi Lamichhane arrives India for a 5-day visit, received by BJP leaders at the Delhi airport. US and Iran exchange strikes as nuclear talks stall amid escalating Israel-Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon. US tightens semiconductor export rules, extending AI chip restrictions to Chinese-owned subsidiaries abroad globally. And ICC approves global qualifier plan for Men's T20 World Cup for associate members, also suspends Canada's membership. Good evening, I am April Singh Lama and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. The details now. The House of Representatives has been adjourned until Tuesday after opposition lawmakers continued their protest over Prime Minister Balendra Shah's recent remarks concerning Nepal-India border issues. The disruption prevented the House from moving ahead with its scheduled agenda as ruling and opposition lawmakers exchanged accusations during the session. The House of Representatives meeting was adjourned until 1 p.m. Tuesday after opposition parties maintained their objections during Monday's second sitting. Speaker D.P. Aryal suspended proceedings after efforts to resume normal business failed. The controversy stems from remarks made by Prime Minister Balendra Shah in Parliament regarding Nepal-India border matters. Opposition lawmakers argued that the statement raised concerns about national sovereignty and demanded clarification from the government. Lawmakers from the CPN-UMO, CPN Rashtriya Prajatantra Party and Labour Culture Party called on the government to present evidence supporting claims that Nepal has encroached on Indian territory. They said the issue involves national sovereignty and requires a clear response from the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Rashtriya Swatantra Party lawmaker Indira Rana Magar questioned whether the opposition's objections were consistent with parliamentary procedures. With both sides remaining divided and unable to reach consensus, the House was adjourned without entering its scheduled agenda. The National Assembly has been adjourned until Tuesday after lawmakers continued to obstruct proceedings over remarks made by Prime Minister Balendra Shah in Parliament. During the first sitting, several members used the special time allocation to express disagreement with the Prime Minister's statement delivered in the House of Representatives on Sunday. Their protest disrupted proceedings, prompting Chair Narayan Prasad Dahal to suspend the meeting for 20 minutes. When the House reconvened, lawmakers maintained their objections, preventing the Assembly from entering its scheduled agenda. Chair Dahal then adjourned the meeting until 1:30 p.m. Tuesday. A parliamentary inquiry committee has been formed to investigate allegations of inappropriate and objectionable conduct by some lawmakers during Sunday's House of Representatives meeting. Speaker D.P. Aryal informed that the House committee has been established under Rule 33(4) of the House regulations and has been tasked with submitting its report within 7 days.
प्रतिनिधि सभाको मिति 2083 साल जेठ 17 गतेको बैठकहरूमा सभाका केही मान्य सदस्यहरूले अव्यवस्था सिर्जना गरी अमर्यादित र आपत्तिजनक व्यवहार प्रदर्शन र भौतिक हानि नोक्सानी एवं क्षति पुर्याउने कार्य समेत रहेको बेहोरा प्रतिनिधि सभा नियमावली 2083 को नियम 33 को उपनियम 4 बमोजिम बैठक समाप्त भइसकेपछि सभामुखलाई विस्तृत जानकारी प्राप्त हुन आएको र आजै सो विषयका सम्बन्धमा मुचुल्का समेत तयार भइसकेकाले यस विषयमा आवश्यक थप जाँचबुझ गरी 7 दिन भित्र सभामुख समक्ष प्रतिवेदन पेश गर्ने गरी समिति गठन गरेको बेहोरा जानकारी गराउँछु।
The committee will be coordinated by House Secretary Prakash Adhikari and will include senior officials from the Federal Parliament Secretariat. The Speaker also noted that recommendations for further action may be made in accordance with parliamentary rules following the investigation. Opposition parties have warned they will continue to obstruct parliamentary proceedings unless Prime Minister Balendra Shah withdraws and apologizes for his remarks on Nepal-India border issues. The issue was discussed during a meeting of opposition parties on Monday. The controversy began after the Prime Minister told the House of Representatives on Sunday that Nepal had also encroached on Indian territory, prompting strong objections from opposition lawmakers. Opposition leaders have demanded that the statement be withdrawn, removal from the official parliamentary record, and followed by an apology in the House. They say parliamentary proceedings will remain disrupted if those demands are not met.
प्रधानमन्त्रीज्यूलाई संसदमा बुलाएर उहाँले जुन खालको अभिव्यक्ति दिनुभयो राष्ट्रघाती अभिव्यक्ति विश्व सामु नेपाल भनेको मिचाहा राष्ट्र हो अतिक्रमणकारी राष्ट्र हो भन्ने जुन खालको म्यासेज दिनुभयो एउटा देशको प्रधानमन्त्री बोल्न हुने चीजै होइन र उहाँ बोलेको कुरा राष्ट्रको कुरा पनि होइन नेपालको जे नीति हो नेपालको नीति त्यस्तो नीति पनि होइन त्यसैले नेपाल राष्ट्रको नीति विपरीत प्रधानमन्त्री जे बोलिरहनु भएको छ यो गम्भीर त्रुटि गरिरहनु भएको छ उहाँले क्षमा याचना गर्नुपर्छ क्षमा याचना गर्नुहुन्न भने हाम्रो आवाज उठिरहन्छ हाम्रो आन्दोलन भइरहन्छ
यस्ता खालका अभिव्यक्तिहरूले हाम्रो सार्वभौमिकता हाम्रो मुलुकको तपाईको एउटा भन्छ नि हाम्रो यो सोभरेनिटीको विषयमा लिएर राम्रो गरिरहेको छैन त्यसले गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरूले माफी माग्नुपर्छ
Meanwhile, the CPN-UML has formally expressed disagreement with remarks made by Prime Minister Balendra Shah in the House of Representatives regarding Nepal-India border issues. In a statement issued on Monday, UML General Secretary Sankar Pokhrel said the Prime Minister's comments were inconsistent with historical facts, available evidence and Nepal's long-standing national position. The party stated that issues related to territory, borders and national sovereignty are matters of shared national concern and warned that statements made in Parliament on such sensitive issues could weaken national unity and Nepal's diplomatic claims. The UML also recalled that Nepal issued a new political map in May 2020 incorporating Limpiadhura, Lip Lake and Kalapani, and that the map was unanimously endorsed by the federal parliament and incorporated into the constitution. Meanwhile, the CPN-UML has staged a protest in Kathmandu demanding that Prime Minister Balendra Shah correct his remarks on the Nepal-India border issue. The demonstration was organized by the party's Kathmandu District Committee at Maitikar Mandala. Protesters said the Prime Minister's statement had lowered the dignity of the country and its people and called for it to be withdrawn. Rashtra Swatantra Party Chair Rabi Lamichhane has arrived in India on a 5-day visit where he was welcomed by senior leaders of India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. At New Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport, Lamichhane was received by BJP National General Secretary Arun Singh and the party's Foreign Affairs Department head Vijay Chauthalwale. According to party sources, the reception highlights ongoing political engagements between Nepali and Indian political leaders during the visit. Lamichhane's trip comes at a time when Nepal-India relations have drawn increased political attention following recent parliamentary debates on border-related issues. Time now for a short break. We shall be back with more updates. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Welcome back. Health and Food Safety Minister Nisha Mehta and Chinese Ambassador to Nepal Zhang Maoming have discussed ways to strengthen bilateral cooperation in the health sector during a meeting in Kathmandu. According to the ministry, the discussions focused on the long-standing friendship between Nepal and China and opportunities to expand collaboration in public health and related areas. Minister Mehta thanked the Chinese government for its continued support to Nepal's health sector and emphasized the importance of learning from China's development experience to strengthen Nepal's healthcare system. Ambassador Maoming congratulated the government and reaffirmed China's commitment to supporting Nepal in areas including traditional medicine, public health and health infrastructure and food safety. He also proposed expanding technical assistance and capacity building programs. Both sides expressed their commitment to making Nepal-China cooperation in health more effective and results-oriented. Now, government's decision to end the health insurance scheme for routine checkups or OPD services in private hospitals has sparked new debate. The Health Insurance Board's notice, however, says the scheme will still be available at government and community hospitals. The decision has directly affected over 10 million citizens enrolled in the program. Here's a report.
If you are currently using your health insurance card for free treatment, here is a key change you need to know. If you visit a private hospital for consultations or general checkups, the government will no longer reimburse those expenses under the insurance scheme. Insured citizens will now receive OPD services only at government hospitals. Alongside them, 27 community hospitals operating under the insurance program will continue to provide insured treatment services. The Health Insurance Board has clarified that this does not mean a complete shutdown of services in private hospitals. In emergency cases requiring admission and serious treatment, insurance coverage in private hospitals will still remain in place.
खास गरी नागरिकहरूको स्वास्थ्य बीमामा निरन्तरताका थुप्रै पक्षहरू छन्। पहिलो कुरा त गुणस्तरीय स्वास्थ्य सेवा नै हो। यदि नागरिकले गुणस्तरीय स्वास्थ्य सेवा पाएन भने चाहिँ बीमामा आबद्ध नभएको अवस्था देखिन्छ। अहिलेको अवस्थामा एउटा विषय चाहिँ हैन। थप चाहिँ अब अन्य पोलिसीहरू अब यसको स्किमको कुरा पनि हुन सक्ला। 1 लाख आफैमा सफिसिएन्ट हो कि होइन भन्ने विषय पनि हुन सक्ला हैन। अब सेवा प्रदायक घरमा अलिकति झन्झटिलो छ भन्ने पनि गुनासो प्राप्त हुन्छ। यो थुप्रै कारणहरूले गर्दाखेरि पनि नागरिकको चाहिँ आबद्धता हुँदाहुँदै पनि ड्रप आउट बढ्दो क्रममा छ। त्यसमा स्वास्थ्य बीमा बोर्डको प्रमुख दायित्व चाहिँ अब विशेष गरी आबद्धतामै हो हैन र यसका नीतिगत सुधारमै हो। तथापि चाहिँ सेवा प्रदायकबाट हुनुपर्ने जुन गुणस्तरीय स्वास्थ्य सेवा छ त्यो अपुग हुँदै गर्दाखेरि नागरिकको चाहिँ ड्रप आउट बढेको हुन सक्छ भन्ने हाम्रो अनुमान हो।
Board spends around 23 billion Nepali rupees every year on treatment claims for health insurance scheme beneficiaries. However, the government only allocated 10 billion rupees in the current fiscal year. Due to the deficit of more than 60%, the scheme suffered sudden halt even in some government hospitals, including TU Teaching Hospital, Maharajganj. 2 months before the current fiscal year concluded, the board still has outstanding payments of 18 billion rupees, including arrears of earlier years pending to various hospitals. Currently, the health insurance program is operating in 35 private hospitals, 441 government hospitals, and 27 community hospitals. Yet, nearly 40% of the total insurance expenditure is concentrated in just 35 private hospitals. Similarly, around 40% of insured citizens have stopped using the service. Although 10.7 million people are enrolled in the program, only about 60% have renewed their policies as of the mid-May 2026.
Now, despite growing awareness and legal reforms, menstruation remains a subject of stigma, silence and misinformation for many women and girls in Nepal. Harmful practices and discrimination continue to affect access to education, health and dignity, particularly in rural communities. Now, in an effort to challenge these deep-rooted taboos, a week-long menstruation fair was organized in Palpa under the slogan, "Menstruation Speaks, Society Changes." The event brought together young women, health professionals and community members for practical training, awareness sessions, health checkups and open discussions on menstrual and reproductive health. Participants also learned how to make reusable sanitary pads and shared personal experiences of menstrual restrictions. Organizers say changing attitudes requires continued education and community engagement. A new agricultural venture is taking root in Dolakha, where farmers have begun commercial production of musk melon and honey melon for the first time in the district. Ramesh and Yashoda Chaulagai of Bhimeshwar Municipality 4 started the cultivation on a trial basis, planting around 2,000 saplings. Encouraged by the strong yield and favorable taste, they are now preparing to expand production. The fruits, which can sell for up to 1,500 Nepali rupees in Kathmandu's 5-star hotels, are expected to attract growing market demand. The harvest is already being supplied to local markets, with plans underway to send produce to Kathmandu's Kalimati market. Known for their sweet flavor and cooling properties, musk melon and honey melon are gaining popularity among consumers. However, the farmers say greater government support and agricultural subsidies are needed to help such ventures thrive. Now, a special court has ordered former Speaker Krishna Bahadur Mohara to be released on a bail of 100,000 rupees in a corruption case linked to alleged gold smuggling hidden inside electronic cigarettes or vape devices. The Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority had filed charges against Mohara and 29 others, including his son. The case stems from a 2022 incident at Trivon International Airport, where customs officials allegedly failed to inspect suspicious luggage and were accused of colluding with smugglers. International news coming up next. For now, a short breather. The United States and Iran have exchanged strikes as negotiations between the two sides stalled amid rising regional tensions. Tehran has reiterated that any peace deal must also address Israel's expanding military operations in Lebanon. Weeks of indirect talks accompanied by airstrikes and warnings have so far failed to produce agreement on ending the conflict or reopening the Strait of Hormuz, a key global shipping route. The latest escalation comes as Israel widens its offensive into Lebanon, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordering further strikes on what he called terror targets in southern Beirut. The United States has supported Israel's operations while continuing diplomatic efforts with Iran over the conflict and broader security issues in the region. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei has said that the United States had continued to violate the ceasefire, adding that a ceasefire in Lebanon remains a key condition for a deal. He added that ongoing tensions in the region continue to undermine diplomatic efforts aimed at restoring stability and reaching a durable political settlement.
ما تأکید کردیم و کماکان تأکید داریم بر این نکته که آتش بس در لبنان بخش لاینفک هر گونه آتش بس و هر گونه توافق نهایی برای خاتمه جنگ هست. سرده آمریکا هم در منطقه ما نمونهش رو همین امروز عرض کردم مرتکب نقض آتش بس داره میشه و هر اقدامی که لازم بدونیم برای دفاع از امنیت ملی ایران، برای دفاع از ما هر وقت لازم بشه که در رابطه با موضوعات هسته‌ای کاری رو انجام بدیم خودمون به خوبی میدونیم چگونه عمل کنیم. یک، دو، اینکه در مورد جزئیات مباحث مرتبط با موضوع هسته‌ای هیچ مذاکره‌ای در این مرحله صورت نگرفته. من بازم تکرار میکنم در این مرحله تمرکز ما بر خاتمه جنگ هست.
In more from the region, Israel's Prime Minister has ordered attacks on the southern suburbs of Lebanon's capital, Beirut, as the conflict with the Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah continues to escalate. Benjamin Netanyahu said terrorist targets in the Hezbollah stronghold of Dahieh would be struck in response to attacks on Israeli civilians and other violations of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire announced in April that has failed to end the fighting.
יחד עם שר הביטחון, הנחיתי את צה"ל לתקוף מטרות טרור בביירות. לא יהיה מצב שחיזבאללה תוקף את ערינו ואת אזרחינו, ומפקדות הטרור שלו בביירות, בדחיה, יישארו מחוץ לתחום. אנחנו ממשיכים להעמיק את הפעילות שלנו בשטח בדרום לבנון, מחסלים מעוזי חיזבאללה במנוסה. אנחנו נחושים להחזיר את הביטחון לתושבי הצפון, בדיוק כפי שעשינו לתושבי הדרום.
The latest escalation comes after Israeli troops occupying southern Lebanon crossed the Litani River to seize the 900-year-old Beaufort Castle that sits on top of a strategically important ridge. The French Armed Forces General Staff said the French Navy conducted a boarding operation on an oil tanker that had departed from Russia while sailing in the Atlantic Ocean, approximately 400 nautical miles off the coast of Brittany. Authorities said the vessel was intercepted during an operation carried out on the high seas, with naval personnel boarding the tanker as part of an ongoing maritime enforcement action. Meanwhile, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that France's seizure of a Russian oil tanker in the Atlantic was illegal and bordering on international police activity. Myanmar's military-backed President Min Aung Hlaing met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi during his first overseas visit since assuming civilian office, in a trip expected to focus on economic cooperation and regional engagement. The visit comes as both countries seek to maintain diplomatic and economic ties amid ongoing regional security and development challenges. Officials said the talks covered infrastructure development, trade facilitation and security coordination along shared borders. Myanmar's strategic location was highlighted as central to India's Neighbourhood First, Act East and Mahasagar policies, which aim to strengthen regional connectivity and maritime cooperation. More from the international front when we return from a short break. The United States has issued a notice affirming its restrictions on shipments of semiconductors to subsidiaries of Chinese companies located outside China amid concerns about loopholes in Washington's export control regime. The Department of Commerce said in the guidance issued on Sunday that its licensing requirements for the export of advanced AI chips apply to all businesses with a headquarters or a parent company in China. Unveiled in the final days of the Biden administration, the framework proposed the implementation of a globe-spanning licensing regime to control access to AI chips, including export caps for all but the closest U.S. allies. The framework drew backlash from tech firms, including NVIDIA, the world's most valuable chip company, which cast the proposal as a threat to innovation and cross-border collaboration. Severe tropical storm Zangmi is moving toward Japan's Okinawa region, bringing powerful winds, heavy rain and widespread transport disruptions. The Japan Meteorological Agency was moving north at around 20 km per hour as of 2 p.m. today. with wind gusts expected to reach up to 162 km per hour across Okinawa and the Amami region through Tuesday. Rainfall of up to 250 mm is forecast over the next 24 hours in affected areas, with the storm expected to track toward western and eastern parts of Japan by midweek, potentially bringing heavy rain along the Pacific coast. Officials said level 4 evacuation alerts could be issued in high-risk areas, a classification under Japan's revised disaster warning system, indicating urgent evacuation from dangerous zones. Now, a sun bear rescued from illegal wildlife trade as a cub has been successfully released back into the wild after a year of rehabilitation. The bear, named Billy, was confiscated from an illegal trader when it was estimated to be between 9 and 12 months old, according to the International Fund for Animal Welfare. Conservationists say successful releases of rehabilitated sun bears are rare due to the challenges of adapting them back to life in the forest. Billy's return to the wild is being hailed as a significant achievement in efforts to combat wildlife trafficking and protect vulnerable species. Now, hundreds of people in Beijing have taken part in a themed challenge recreating the experience of secretly eating snacks in the classroom without being caught. Held inside a shopping mall, participants used textbooks as cover while attempting to finish their snacks within 10 minutes under the watch of a mock teacher. Organizers said the event was designed to tap into shared childhood memories and offer an interactive entertainment experience. Winners who completed the challenge without being caught received prizes. Time now for sports updates. The International Cricket Council (ICC) board has approved a recommendation to introduce a global qualifier for future ICC Men's T20 World Cups, marking a significant change in the qualification structure for associate members. Under the approved proposal, ICC management has been tasked with finalizing a detailed competition format and qualification pathway for a 16-team global qualifier. The structure will determine how associate and lower-ranked full member sides progress into the T20 World Cup. The decision was among a series of resolutions taken during ICC board meetings held in Ahmedabad on Sunday, where the governing body outlined measures aimed at strengthening global cricket governance, expanding competitive opportunities and supporting development initiatives across member nations, including women's cricket. In a separate ruling, the ICC board suspended Canada from ICC membership with immediate effect, citing serious breaches of membership obligations. The suspension will remain in place pending further review. Now, the board also approved a trial allowing the use of the pink ball as an interchangeable option in Test cricket to reduce interruptions caused by poor light conditions. Cricket fans poured onto the streets outside Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium after Royal Challengers Bengaluru won their second consecutive Indian Premier League title. RCB defeated Gujarat Titans by 5 wickets in the final, with former captain Virat Kohli scoring an unbeaten 75 to guide the chase. Celebrations erupted inside and outside the stadium as supporters marked the victory. The win strengthens RCB's recent dominance in the league and sparked festivities among fans across India. A collective of Mexican artists has set a Guinness World Record for creating the world's largest augmented reality football mural in La Paz. The 625.68 square meter artwork combines football-themed visuals with regional cultural motifs and natural landscapes ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Using augmented reality technology, the mural activates digital animation with viewed through mobile, adding an interactive layer to the physical artwork. Organizers say the project highlights the growing use of immersive technology in public art and is expected to support cultural tourism in the region. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories once again. House of Representatives session deferred until Tuesday as border remarks trigger protest and political deadlock. Opposition parties warn of fresh parliamentary obstruction unless Prime Minister retracts border remarks. RSP Chair Rabi Lamitani arrives India for a 5-day visit, received by BJP leaders at the Delhi airport. US and Iran exchange strikes as nuclear talks stall amid escalating Israel-Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon. US tightens semiconductor export rules, extending AI chip restrictions to Chinese-owned subsidiaries abroad globally. And ICC approves global qualifier plan for men's T20 World Cup for associate members, also suspends Canada's membership. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands.
Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
In the high mountains, where the air thins and silence deepens, an ancient discipline endures. More than art, this is meditation in motion. A prayer woven into canvas, finding the divine within. This is Thanka.
Thanka भने चाहिँ त्यो समतल भूमि भने हो के हैन त्यो स्पेस भने हो त्यो रेसेमा पनि तपाईले सेतो गणमा स्पेस देख्यो नि हैन हो त्यसमा चाहिँ का लेख्ने भने चाहिँ बुद्धको वचन लेख्ने भने हो के त्यो बुद्धको वचन बागल चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ शुद्ध छ हैन राम्रो छ त्यसले चाहिँ मानव जीवनलाई चाहिँ कल्याण मानव जीवनलाई मात्र नभएर प्राणी जगतलाई नै चाहिँ कल्याण गर्ने चिज हो थाङ्गा त्यही भएर चाहिँ जीवन जिउनेसँग चाहिँ रिलेटेड छ भनेर भने हो त्यो चाहिँ पञ्चतत्वको रूपमा चाहिँ त्यो चिनाएर त्यो तत्त्वलाई त्यो ठाउँमा जानुपर्छ भनेरको यो त आशयको रूपमा चाहिँ लगेको हुन्छ
Thanka painting is more than art. It's devotion on canvas, rooted in Buddha philosophy, traditions, and shaped by centuries of Buddhist influence. Each stroke tells a story of enlightenment.
This is not from painter's own mind. This is from the book. So painters, they have to strictly follow the rules. Through meditation, we can understand our true nature. And when we understand our true nature, we understand everybody. And our true nature is compassion. Our true nature is wisdom. And when we practice these things, we find peace, and that peace is permanent.
Thanka painting is not merely creation. It is consecration, rooted in Buddhist philosophy and perfected through centuries. Each brushstroke carries the weight of a mantra. Each color a fragment of enlightenment.
खाइबो भन्छ हामीले चाहिँ आर्टिस्टलाई त्यो खाइबाले चाहिँ किन आएर चाहिँ ढोग्यो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ तीनचोटी ढोग्यो नि त्यो शरण गमन गरे हो के म बुद्धको शरणमा छु भन्ने हो त्यो चाहिँ बुद्ध चित्त उत्पाद गर्ने भन्छ के चित्त तपाईको शुद्ध हुनु पर्यो हैन त्यो शुद्ध भएर लेखेको थाङ्गाले चाहिँ अरूलाई पनि राम्रो गर्ने पनि सबै प्राणी हितको लागि चाहिँ यो मैले गरेको लेखेको बुद्ध वचनले चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ राम्रो होस् भन्ने आशयका साथ चाहिँ छोड्नु पर्छ कि हो यसरी चाहिँ लेखेको हुन्छ थाङ्गा चाहिँ
The Thanka is a visual sculpture, a spiritual map to transcendence. Every artist begins not with imagination, but with surrender to discipline, devotion, and compassion for all living beings. To paint is to meditate. To complete is to awaken. In today's studios, the old and the new converge. Tutors like Sushan Subedi introduce curious travelers to ancient grammar of lines and color.
All of the painting you are seeing over here, so these are known as tanka, which is a Tibetan word which means the painting that is painted on a cotton surface. Okay, so first of all what we do is, we just take a normal cotton like this and we stretch it on a wooden frame very hardly and very tightly. Okay, so while tying it very hard on normal cotton, what happens is there are millions of tiny holes. So if you pour the color can bleed. So we cannot do the painting on a normal cotton. So we have a process, we call it the process of canvas.
While at nearby workshops, artists like Sonam still lose themselves in the ritual of creation.
यो चाहिँ बम्बई ट्याङ कटन जुन यसैबाट चाहिँ हाम्रो ट्रेडिसनल आर्टको चाहिँ थाङ्का फर्स्ट प्रोसेसिङ चाहिँ यहीँबाट हुन्छ। सरेस भन्ने गरिन्छ हामीले, यो चाहिँ खासमा र याक स्किन भनेर चाहिँ प्रयोग गरिन्छ पहिलेको त्यो हिस्ट्री हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ। अनि अब यो चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ माध्यम चाहिँ यो ग्लुको काम गर्छ यसले चाहिँ। यो र हामीले चाहिँ माटो मिसाएर चाहिँ यसमा पानी लगाएर अब यसको कति मात्रा गरेर तताइसकेपछि चाहिँ अनि अब हामीले कत्रो क्यानभस बनाउने कतिवटा बनाउने त्यो हिसाबले हामीले यो सरेस माटो भनिन्छ त्यो मिलाएर मात्रा मिलाएर हामीले प्रोसेसिङमा जानु सकिन्छ। हामीले चाहिँ यो क्यानभस बनाउँदाखेरि समयअनुसार मौसमअनुसारले पनि बनाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ। घाम लाग्ने बेलामा बनाउनु सक्यो भने हामीले छिटो आफ्नो कामहरू छिटो छरिदो बनाउन सकिन्छ र झरी पर्ने बेलामा चाहिँ हामीलाई निकै समय लाग्छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि यो घाम लाग्ने बेलामा हामीले बनाउन सक्यौँ भने छिटो अनि यसलाई आफूलाई चाहिने मात्रामा पटक पटक यता दुई साइडमा चाहिँ क्लिन गर्नु सफा गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। अनि कतिको मात्रा हामीलाई चाहिन्छ त्यो पुगिसकेपछि हामीले त्यसपछि स्केचमा जानुपर्ने हुन्छ। यो सुकिसकेपछि चाहिँ एउटा यसरी पनि हामीले चेक गर्न सकिन्छ हामीले कतिको तयारी भयो भएन। यो आवाज आउनुपर्ने हुन्छ। जस्तै अब ओसिएको छ भने बेग्लै आवाज आउँछ, सुकेको छ भने राम्रो आवाज आउँछ यो।
Thangka painting begins with the canvas stretched tight, once upon wood, now upon iron frames. The glue that seals it, once drawn from the yak, now sourced from the maple or synthesized in a lab. Yet in the scent of drying paste, the artist still reads the readiness of the soul of the painting.
So after the sketching is done, second thing we do is the coloring. So while coloring, we have different levels of artists in our school. Like from the beginner level, we have intermediate and the master level of artists. So if you go with the beginner intermediate, they use the acrylic colors. But if you go with the master level of artists, so they use the stone colors like this. Okay, so why they use the stone color is stone being a natural color. So while we apply this sort of color in the art, it remains for the longer period of time because natural thing, it doesn't have expiry date. Yeah, so the meaning and the philosophy of an art, the art itself, it is preserved for the longer period of time. So that's why they use the stone. And for the finishing of an art, so we use 24 karat real gold on the painting. Okay, so why we use the gold is not to make the painting very expensive, but if you see in Hinduism, in Buddhism, gold it is signified as in purity. So to purify the meaning and the philosophy behind the art, so we use 24 karat real gold.
Every line follows a rule, every proportion holds meaning. The face of the deity isn't imagined, it slowly reveals itself, guided by sacred patterns that keep harmony between the world outside and the spirit within. The colors come from the earth, crushed stones and minerals mixed with glue made to last for generations. Lapis brings purity, malachite speaks of compassion, and cinnabar carries wisdom. These are just colors. They are prayers in pigment.
प्राचीन कालमा चाहिँ यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ पाँचवटा कलर लेख्ने हो। 5 कलर जस्तो अग्नि तत्त्व, वायु तत्त्व, माटो तत्त्व, हावा तत्त्व, 5 तत्त्वले बनाएको हो। त्यो 5 तत्त्वले किन बनाएको भने त्यो 5 तत्त्वबाट हाम्रो शरीर बनाएको छ नि। त्यो थाङ्गा भनेको चाहिँ वास्तवमा के हो भने जे जति थाङ्गामा त्यो हामीसँगै छ। जे हामीसँग त्यो थाङ्गामै छ। त्यसकारण त्यो बेला चाहिँ त्यो नेचुरल हाम्रो पनि नेचुरली बनाएको हो नि त। प्रकृतिले बनाएको नि। थाङ्गा पनि प्रकृति नै हो। त्यसमा अलिक अहिले चाहिँ कलर के छ भने 5वटा कलरबाट हामीले मिसाउँदाखेरि अर्को कलर बन्छ। त्यो 5वटा कलर मात्रै पुग्दैन। त्यो बेला त्यो रियालिटी थाङ्गा नजिक बसेर साधना गर्दा हामीलाई त्यो भाइब्रेसन आउँछ, पोजिटिभ कुरा आउँछ। यो त खालि बुद्ध जुन बुद्धले टिकाको टिचिङ गर्नुभएको नेचुरल फेनोमेना छ नि, नेचर माइन्ड छ नि, त्योसँग रिलेटेड छ यो।
Home Bahadur Tamang, a gifted Thanga artist from the spiritual heart of Buddha, has turned his craft into a global bridge between tradition and business.
थाङ्गा चाहिँ मैले 1970 सिक्न सुरुवात गरेको। मेरो टिचर चाहिँ म भन्दा अघिल्लो मेरो दाइ हो, साइला दाइ। मेरो चाहिँ बाउपादेखि नै कलाकार हुनुहुन्थ्यो। पाटन, भक्तपुर, छामेल, दरबार स्क्वायरमा यसै पसल बेच्ने काम हुन्थ्यो। अनि त्यो बेच्दा मैले यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ विदेशीले किन्दो रहेछ, आफैले विदेशसँग बेच्नुपर्छ भन्ने अलिकति मनमा मलाई अलिकति सोच आयो। त्यसपछि मैले 2050 सालमा यहाँ सुरु गरेँ, आजभन्दा 32 वर्ष अगाडि।
What began as a young artist's journey through the streets of Kathmandu has blossomed into a thriving enterprise where sacred art meets business and tourism. With every brushstroke, Home brings Nepal's rich spiritual heritage to the world, transforming Thanga painting into a symbol of cultural fusion.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ पसल कोही पनि यहाँ थिएन, किनभने त्यो मार्केटले चाहिँ कहाँ मार्केट हुन्छ भन्ने खोज्दो रहेछ। त्यो खोज्ने क्रममा म यहाँ आइपुग्यो। विदेशीहरू पनि यहाँ त्यति अहिले जस्तो बस्दैन, 5 मिनट 10 मिनटमा घुमेर जानुहुन्थ्यो। त्यतिखेर खाने रेस्टुरेन्ट पनि एकजना मात्रै थियो, एउटा मात्रै थियो। अहिले चाहिँ होस् त्यो बेला र अहिलेमा धेरै आकाश जमिनको फरक भएको छ।
His story is one of passion, innovation, and a deep commitment to preserving tradition while embracing the future.
विशेष गरी यो बौद्ध स्तूपसँग रिलेटेड छ। यो बुद्धको शिक्षासँग रिलेटेड यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ संसारको मानिसहरू यो स्तूपलाई घुम्ने क्रममा यो प्रार्थना गर्ने मेन आउने ठाउँ चाहिँ यो रहेछ। त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ विशेष गरी ओल्ड हेरिटेज साइटमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि के हो बुद्धिस्टको भएको हुनाले चाहिँ नेपालभरि नै थाङ्का बिक्ने ठाउँ चाहिँ अति महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ यो नै हो वास्तवमा, किनभने रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धसँग।
From the hills of Ramechhap to the heart of Buddha, Home Bahadur Damang has a glorious story to tell. A story of will, determination, struggle, and success.
म आफै पनि रामेछाप दुर्गम जिल्लामा जन्मेको चाहिँ रोजगार छैन, त्यहाँ स्कुल छैन, कलेज छैन, हस्पिटल छैन, रोजगार छैन। त्यसपछि म पनि रोजगारकै क्रममा यहाँ आएर मैले सुरुवात गर्यो। अहिले चाहिँ म लगभग 49 वर्ष भयो यही पेसा गरेर दाल भात खाएको। अब नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि मैले हस्तान्तरण गर्नुपर्छ है भन्ने मेरो एउटा उद्देश्यले चाहिँ अहिले मैले नयाँ पुस्तालाई चाहिँ गाउँबाट आउनुहुन्छ, स्कुल सकेर अनि बिहान चाहिँ कलेज जानुहुन्छ, दिउँसो काम छैन। त्यस कारणले मैले 3 महिना फ्री ट्रेनिङ दिने गरेको छ। उहाँको स्किल अनुसार टेस्ट गरेर हामीले यहीँ तलब दिएर जस्तो बिहान कलेज पनि भ्यायो उसको कति हो त्यसो त्यहाँबाट एक्स्ट्रा टाइम चाहिँ 5 घण्टा 6 घण्टा 7 घण्टा मैले पनि यहाँ जीवन चलाउने चाहिँ काम भइरहेको छ अहिले।
For 49 years, he painted, taught, and empowered young artisans. Today, his school preserves tradition and creates futures.
हामीले यहाँ सुरुमा इन्टरभ्यू लिन्छौँ त्यसपछि एक हप्ता चाहिँ नि सानो क्यानभासमा हात ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु त्यसको शरीरको बडीहरू अलिकति ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु अनि एक हप्तापछि ओके भनेर ओके या यस भने कोही कोही मानिस नसक्ने चाहिँ नि आधा घन्टामा एक घन्टामा उठेर गइहाल्छ म सक्दैन ढाड दुख्यो किन उसको मन धेरै भएर गयो त्यो सक्दैन ऊ आउँदैन एक दिन पनि आउँदैन मात्रै आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो हामीले अपाङ्गलाई पनि सिकाएको छ जस्तो बाहिर कान नसुन्ने पनि सिकाएको छ आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो त्यस्तै हो
As interest in Buddhism grows worldwide, so does the appreciation for our sacred art. Foreigners now come not just to admire but to learn, studying our architecture techniques and meditative Thanka traditions, giving new life to what was once known only within our borders.
बुद्धिज्म नेपाल हो नेपालमा जति छन् विश्व सम्पदामा सूचीमा भएको मठ मन्दिर गुम्बद छ यसैबाट उहाँले पनि सिकेको वास्तवमा यो जुन बौद्ध स्तूपरा भनौँ लुम्बिनी त्यो जस्तो उहाँहरूले बनाउन सक्दैन तर यसको चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण के छ भगवान या चाहिँ दोस्रो तेस्रो बुद्धको रिलेटिक यहाँ छ जति चाहिँ अहिले संसारमा यो बुद्धिज्म फैलिँदै जान्छ यो महायान बुद्धिज्म त्यतिकै ठाङ्गको भ्यालु चाहिँ बढ्दैछ अहिले जस्तो मेरै कुरा मैले 40-45 वर्ष यति ठाङ्गको महत्त्व थिएन किनभने वर्ल्ड वाइडमा बुद्धिज्ममा थिएन विदेशहरूले जानेकै थिएन उनीहरूले त्यो सुरसुर आउँदाखेरि सानोतिनो एउटा नेपाल आउँदाखेरि सुपर नेट किन नलैजाऊ भन्ने मात्रै लाइन्थ्यो अहिले चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ जस्तो अमेरिका युरोप तपाईँको यो सिङ्गापुर ताइवान मलेसिया विभिन्न देशमा चाहिँ अहिले बुद्धिस्ट प्र्याक्टिसनर धेरै उहाँहरू चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ त्यस कारणले भविष्यमा यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ छ यसको मार्केट छ
As an artist, entrepreneur, and a master, he feels fulfilled, creating beauty, guiding others, and living with purpose.
मैले संसार जीवन जगतलाई थाहा पायो अहिले हामी सांसारिक जीवन छ सांसारिक जीवनमा कसरी जिउने र अर्कोलाई पनि कसरी जिउन दिने कला थाहा पायो त्यसपछि अब जुन देशमा जन्मे पनि जुन कुलमा जन्मे पनि 100% निश्चित के हो भने मृत्यु छ त्यो त निश्चित हो नि एउटै निश्चित छैन कहिले पनि निश्चित छैन तर त्यो मर्नेमा म कसरी मर्ने भन्ने कला पनि थाहा पाएँ मलाई त धेरै परिवर्तन भएको छ मैले परिवर्तन भयो भने के हुन्छ मैले ठुलो पतेरो चढ्यो ठुलो गाडी त्यस्तो होइन तर मलाई खुसी छ सादा दाल भात खान पाएछ मैले परिवार पाल्नु पाएछ यही थाङ्गाले म जापान घुम्यो युरोप गयो चाइना घुम्यो बुद्धिस्ट कन्ट्री सबै घुमेको छ सबै ठाउँमा मैले घुम्नलाई मलाई पैसाको आपत पनि परेन थाङ्गा सँगसँगै लाँदै ब्रिफिङ गर्दै बेच्दै दर्शन बेचेको हो त्यसकारण मलाई त एकदम खुसी छु म त पनि
Then comes the awakening, the eyes. Until that moment, the Thangka is silent. When the artist paints the peoples, the deity is invited to reside within. The canvas breathes, the prayer begins. From quiet Himalayan ateliers to the galleries in Tokyo, Berlin, and New York, Thangkas now travel far beyond the monasteries. They adorn homes, museums, and collectors' walls, a global symbol of Nepal's artistic devotion.
Mostly, Thanka word itself is a Tibetan word, so this tradition belongs to Tibetan people. This tradition belongs to Tamang. This tradition belongs to Newar community. Although they have different expression of color, technique, the detail, but this tradition, this culture belongs to this three community, and this is kind of passed on tradition. They learn this skill from their forefather to the new generation. This is how this tradition has been continuing and preserving. So it is beneficial for them to live their life, and it is beneficial for the country because this is a culture, and culture and tradition is the treasure of each country.
The trade sustains thousands. From the hum of borders alleys to export crates bound for distant lands, Thangka has become a vital thread in Nepal's creative economy. Yet, as markets grow, so does the tension between faith and fame, between meditation and merchandise.
कला चाहिँ दुवै राम्रै हो हैन आफ्नो आफ्नै फिलोसफी भन्ने हो यसले चाहिँ तपाईको मन भित्रको डेप्थमा जाने सिकाउने हो यसमा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ मिहिन काम हुन्छ कठिन पनि हुन्छ के किनभने यसमा चाहिँ तपाईले चाहिँ अघिको जस्तो धेरै चीजहरु चाहिँ लिनुपर्छ अनुशासन लिनु पर्यो हैन यसको विधि विधानमा बसेर गर्नुपर्छ यसमा चाहिँ अब त्यो चाहिँ तपाईको मनमा जुन फिलिङ्स आउँछ त्यो लेखिहाल्ने हो के त्यो गर्दाखेरि त्यसले पनि वर्ल्डमा चलिरहेछ यसले चाहिँ नेपालले किन अब त्यसलाई चाहिँ कम्पिटिसन गर्न सक्छ भने चाहिँ यो चीज चाहिँ अरूले गर्न सक्दैन किनभने त्यसमा मेडिटेसन ध्यान जस्तै गर्नुपर्छ के सरकारी स्कुलबाट चाहिँ स्कुलिङ देखि नै गर्नुपर्छ यसको पाठ्यक्रमहरु बनाउनु पर्छ हैन एउटा त्यो गरिसकेपछि यसको प्रमोट हुन्छ हैन हामीलाई चाहिने त त्यो प्रवर्धन हो नि तर ब्याङ्किङहरुले पनि के गर्नु पर्यो भने यसलाई चाहिँ बिना दिदोमा पनि के रे ऋण दिने वातावरण हैन कलाकारको के छुटाएर के अनि तपाईको हामीले ट्याक्स तिर्नु पर्छ ट्याक्स तिर्दाखेरि पनि कुनै एउटा चीज चाहिँ कलाकारलाई कुन ओदामा राखेर त्यसको एउटा ब्यालेन्स एउटा गरेर सरकारले गरिदियो भने यसको जन अझ फ्रस्टिन्छ के फ्रस्टिएपछि त यो नेपालकै लागि चाहिँ यसले चाहिँ पर्यटनलाई पनि विकास हुने अनि त्यो स्कुल कलेजमा भयो भने पुस्ता हस्तान्तरण चाहिँ एकदम दिगो हुन्छ के
All the Thangka has same meaning of peace. So foreigner, they admire philosophy. Practitioner also, they choose deities mostly to practice, to visualize, and they imagine the quality of deities with themselves. And some least person, they want it as a souvenir to decorate for the positive vibe. Some they buy it for the gift for their loved one. Philosophy reminds us about the beautiful quality, and that quality gives us peace, and that peace is everyone searching for. So Thangka painting is very, very important for everyone because it is relevant with our life. If it is relevant with our life, that is truth.
But beyond commerce and canvas, a Thangka is still a mirror, reflecting a way of life where art and spirit breathe as one. Every brush that moves today carries the echo of generations, an unbroken whisper from monastery walls to the modern world. As the sun sets over the Himalayas, somewhere an artist bows before a finished Thangka. His work is now complete, his prayer released. For in every stroke lies a journey from pigment to prayer, from devotion to eternity. This is not just Nepal's art, it is Nepal's soul, painted into time.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Well, welcome to a new episode of Creative Forum here on NTV World, where we bring achievers from different creative walks of life and celebrate their achievements, their feat. Recently, a Nepali film has been making headlines across the world for a historic feat it has managed to achieve in the international arena. Elephants in the Fog managed to win the Uncertain Regards section at Cannes Film Festival, the first Nepali film to do so. And it gives me great pleasure to share that we are joined by the filmmakers of the film Elephants in the Fog today in the studio. Let me welcome the director, Avinash Bikram Shah.
Namaste.
And then the actor, Pirati Pushpa Tinglama.
Namaskar.
And of course, the producer who gets it all together, Adu Podal.
Namaste.
Welcome to all of you guys, and a huge congratulations once again to you.
Thank you.
With all the hectic schedules and all, how have you guys managed to find some time to rest or sleep in?
It's been so many interviews, so many meetings, and everything that's going on. So I really couldn't find time for myself, you know. So and I'm still processing that what actually we have achieved, you know. I'm still, but I'm happy. Everyone is happy. My mother is so happy, you know. With that, I'm happy for sure. But you know, this the time to process, to think what I have really achieved, you know. So that thing that still I have to
it
process.
Still feels surreal,
yes.
probably.
Yes.
This musical piece that we just started with, for many of our audience who have not watched the film yet, who have not gotten to watch, in fact, the film yet, who are waiting, what piece does this belong to in the movie? What does it represent?
Well, in the film, we talk about the story of a Kinner community, and the community made their bread and butter by giving blessings to other people's ceremony, maybe like in some wedding ceremony, or like in some marriages. So they'll be dancing, blessings, and in our films, clapping is very important, and the strength of the Kinner community. So la 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 la. It reflects the energy and the joy they will provide for the family to bring more blessing for a particular person, like the couple, like newly married couples, or like the newly birth child. So it's a blessing and celebrations that way, and creating an anthem for the film as well, because we did it very many times in Cannes, and then how people perceive it before watching the films and after watching the films means like it really makes sense, you know. So it's like kind of sensations for now, let's say. Yeah.
I think it's also easy to catch on.
Yeah.
Yes.
When we were shooting this song and dance, like after that scene, everyone was doing, you know, throughout. I mean, till the end. I mean, our sound recordist, he's from Brazil, so he was always doing la 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 la. That's crazy. Yeah, it's so catchy.
Yeah, and it's really feel very proud that we could represent our community. And one more thing is that the clap means not only for the, I mean, a particular part. We always do clap whenever we are happy or anger. But beside that, we always clap for the best wishes.
Pushpa, you are the heart of the story. Avinash, I think, has mentioned before that he knew the character was you when he laid his eyes on you. But it must have been a process for you to get into the role, given your non-acting previous past. How did the whole journey during the production, pre-production phase feel for you like?
It's been a tough time, which I spent. But most probably, they trusted me, and we got many workshops and trainings, which was given by our scriptwriter Sandeep ji and Akanksha Karki, mentor.
and Sudam, yes, casting director Sudam. All of them was very, very humble and helpful. Each and every part has been, I mean, they gave us
guided you through it.
And we understood them, and we just learned and did work hard, and here is the result.
Was there a moment during the training where you felt like now you are Pirati?
To be honest, at first I was a little bit nervous whether I can't play Pirati or not. And the character has been played in my mind always, and I'm thinking, will I play the character? Will I justice her? And I always been suffering that words in my mind, and how to be creative, and how to be pure, and how to be authentic. As I said, the team trusted me, and I worked hard. They helped me, and mostly the teamwork. The teamwork was fantastic, and I built up myself that I could and I can do it. And really, the team was awesome.
And I think it also shows in the product that you're able to, curate.
And adding to her, I mean, the main thing was for me as a director, for turning Puspa into Pirati was, of course, those training helped for sure. But the most important thing I felt, now I'm thinking, was building that trust between, both of us, because I was always trying to tell her that you don't have to act, you don't have to act, you are Pirati. Because whatever Pirati goes through in life, maybe, probably she has also gone through it, or she knows some people, who have gone through that, because she is working in an NGO, in Blue Diamond Society, and she is meeting a lot of people like that. So just be yourself, and the trust and meeting, we
met many times.
Many times. To get her into that role, it almost took 2 years, right? Yes.
And the main thing is that what I found, Pirati and me, myself, is similar, because both of them are most encourageable and lovable person.
And you are a mother.
Yes, I'm a mother.
Yeah, and an actor has to be, so vulnerable, so, and to be vulnerable, it takes courage, it takes courage and trust.
When you reiterated that you are a mother as well, so it almost sounded like you have to go through the emotions, you have to have had experiences as such in your life to be able to portray that character. Is that so?
Of course, otherwise how can you play the role, for the director, for writer, there is some instances, where I don't have that experience, but I can relate to some other incident, to write or to direct the actress, maybe for her as well, That's why, this film, I chose Puspa, because she is a trans woman, and she knows, because she doesn't have to create something, otherwise for me it would be fake, through her experience, if something comes out, it's so authentic and so magical and so connecting, it will connect people. So that's why she is mother, she has a lot of daughters, I know.
You can see in movie.
We really are looking forward to the
everyone talked about her performance. Everyone. Even Anurag Kashyap, right?
Yes.
That was her.
Why the name Elephants in the Fog, and why the need to cover a trans story?
First of all, this, of course, it's a trans story, like you said, but here I dealt with a family, you know. I mean, when I knew that they live as a family, you know, mother and daughter relationship or guru chela relationship, that really intrigued me, you know, because most of them are outcast kind of, you know, people, because they cannot live in the society, or even they are thrown out of their home. Now they have, you know, a beautiful family. They chose the chosen one, and that was the hook, you know, genesis for this film. I really want to see how the family works, you know. Even though this film, like I said, you know, it's a story about trans woman, but for me, it's more about this family, the story of mother and daughters, you know. I always say, you know, to my friends and to my brothers, it can easily be very melodramatic story, you know, and also a very ethnographic film. But I really don't want to go there. I really want to focus on this mother's journey, you know. How, like my mother, you know, I live with my mother, and she is, I mean, when I went there for the research, I found same, you know, my family and their family quite similar. It's quite dysfunctional, you know. I mean, there's love, there's anger, there's hate, there's envy, but most important, there's love, you know. I mean, that love binds them, you know. So
it's a family, a story of any family.
Exactly. And about elephants, during the research, while I was trying to write this film, I met a mother from the, you know, Kinna community, and she told me a story about elephants and the blind men. And what she said was, you know, the blind men cannot, you know, really know how elephant looks like, because it's so huge and they have to feel. They cannot, you know, feel everything at once. I mean, when they touch the, you know, the leg of the elephant, they will probably think it's a pillar of either if they touch, I mean, feel the tail, they will think it's a rope. And what she said was so profound, like, was the people in our society see us in that, you know, limited perspective. They don't see us as a whole human being, you know. So that was really, you know, profound for me. And there is one saying also, you know, the elephant in the room. What if it's a huge elephant in the room, but now they are in the fog, you know. I mean, and my job was to bring the elephant out of the fog. You know? It's the elephant, whole elephant, to show the audience, or the audience and to the people.
Anup, the role of a producer, it's mammoth. You're arranging everything. You are making sure there is creative space for people working, the hands on the set. Normally, when we look at the role of a producer in a cinema, have we treated the role in Nepali industry as much as it should have been, or have we done justice to it?
Good question. First of all, the ideas of a producer is somewhere not properly interpreted in Nepali film industry. The one who invests in the film is termed as a producer, but it's more than that. So the producer is the one who will pick the script or the final director, you know. So it means like the producer should have some creative ability to find which project suits for him to make the films or something like that. So I started as a writer director, and then produced short films, and then I started production manager jobs, and then started doing line producing. As I stay in Nepal, I really want to work in Nepali films, and somewhere my creative insights can be put, or like the ideas that I really wanted to work on, maybe as a producer I could do it. So I was learning all the things, how budgets are made in Nepal, how the schedules work, how many talents are here in Nepal. So it took like almost 17 years to produce my own feature film. And I think like I did a very good job. You can ask the director or the cast, because I paid her very well.
Did he?
And the thing is, like, I take a time to make things happen. When Avinash was taking time to have rehearsals with actors, going to Bhairava, or bringing all the actors to Kathmandu and have a rehearsals, there is a creative process going on, but still like I have spent a lot of money for the logistics to make it happen, to bring all the actors. It was like 25 people at one time, and then 15 people and 5 actresses, you know. So it took years and years. And if I was not a good producer, should I have wait for all this year to make it happen? No, right? Because there are lots of expenses, lots of things to make things possible. And I think I feel like I'm a proud, and it's very unseen story of a producer, how they work, or how hard their job is behind the cameras, you know. So I'm very thankful for having me here and give me a space to talk about my experiences.
It's such a pleasure to have all three of you. Pushpa, building on it, did he pay you well?
Yes, he did.
Okay,
he did.
There we have.
Main thing is that he just a particular person that he always says me that we need to be independent. So trust yourself, build up yourself. And really, man, thank you so much. He did it.
Anup and Avinash, you worked also in another successful project, Lori, before. I hear you guys are best of friends in the set. Are you guys?
It's like I was studying in South Busan, producing. I studied producing in South Busan, and I don't want to talk about since we talk about gender roles or gender neutrality, but still like the idea of husband and wife, you know. So the how a family functions, you know. There is a husband and there is a wife, and who holds the things, you know. So the relations between director and producer is something like that. How people take it. It can be husband and husband, wife and wife, or anything as such, but. You know, what I'm trying to say is like, there is a good side as well, there is a bad side as well, but we accept everything of us and discuss and make things happen, you know. Even for Avinash, it's been like, I even like, he was ready, I was not ready in many ways. So I took my years, like 2-3 years for myself to have a financing in the films. And even Avinash, I gave him a time to have like, rewrite the script, work with the actors, castings. I took a time, so it's like mutual discussions that we have it, and we always fight. We look very close to each other, but have a little of rivalry because we have been working together for like 17 years, a long time collaborations, and if we don't have this sides of us, you know, good, bad, evil sides or ugly sides, we couldn't come along this long journey. So I produced a couple of short films as well, which went to good film festivals. But Cannes is the one where our work highlighted. That's what I can say.
And
so.
for me, you know, the kind of film that I want to make as a director, as a writer, it's not the mainstream film that's you know. That's going on here, but the trust that that he gave to the kind of films that I want to make is always super. Yeah. So
our first work is to find good story or talk about some stories or something like that, and then we'll think about let's make about a film about it or something.
So while there are creative differences, you are complementary roles for each other. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
A marvelous feat at Cannes Film Festival. I wonder what criteria you evaluated, maybe Avinash can answer this, when putting out your film or sending your film to festivals. There are festivals in Nepal as well.
The first thing is Cannes is considered as one of the biggest film festivals in the world. Number one is that. Second, I'm self-taught filmmaker, and I watched films that has been selected in Cannes, at Cannes, and they discovered those directors, the directors I love. I mean, most of the film went to Cannes. So second reason is that. And the third one is to sell the film. Cannes is the must. I mean, they have this huge market, and you can actually, the festival is like not just to show your film. The foremost idea is how to sell your film, to different part of the world. So the other reason is that. So first is it's a biggest film festival, and they really treat you, really good. The kind of feeling that I hope in Nepal I should have I should have got, that I received in Cannes. But now I'm happy that everyone is talking about this film, talking about us, and it's really good. But there I received that thing when our short film was there, and the other thing is our short film was sold in many places. So it really, for those reasons, I think
it also felt like a continuation, perhaps, for you.
And since I was, they think they discovered me, my film. So yeah, they want to see more of my work. So yeah, and maybe it became, I don't know if I should say easier or something. Maybe they watched my film very curiously because I was there with the short film, and they want me to continue in the festival. Maybe another reason is that as well.
Yeah.
What goes into the criteria when considering whether to send to one festival or the other?
Okay, a good question again. It's the 79th edition of CAT, and they have tremendous success and impressed many filmmakers from the world. As a filmmaker, myself, or a student myself, when I started to learn filmmaking, we used to watch a lot of film from the world. We used to understand how films are going, and we talk about like there were certain kind of revolutions going on, and France was leading many revolutions in cinemas, like new wave cinemas. So it has a very great impact on me, and the wonderful director that I know, they have screened their film in Cannes. And as a film student back then, it was a dream to have a film in Cannes. That's the prestige they have it from the beginning, because they start the festivals right after Second World War, I can say that. And that's the momentum they create as a cinema files or as a artist or something. So it's a very huge platform for all the artists who celebrate art or cinemas. So it has a very great impact. And then and what I felt as a producer is like it's a very good space to have a world premiere. World premiere is one place where you can only have one. Okay. And as a producer, my somewhere my greediness, or I can say that I want to have there, and it will be easier to sell the film. And it has a very huge market called marché to film. And there are lots of distributors coming across the world to buy best one.
So and one more thing that I want to add is, when I was there, after the screening, and there were a lot of people, cheering for us, and one place is that Cannes is, the film festival is so political, and I was thinking, like, the woman that I was dealing with in this film, the trans woman, their lives and the life in Cannes, all the European, the best ones, with this glaze and glamour and red carpet and everything, the important thing that I felt was the story that I wanted to tell, That's the best place because it's being seen, Our story is being visible all around the world. So that's the most important thing, I think, for us. Reach, exactly. For us to premiere in Cannes.
Nepal also had a pavilion at the Cannes this year. Any one of you can answer this. How effective do you think the step was?
It's always good to have our country's, pavilion there. But again, like I said, it's just a baby step from us. There's a very small pavilion, but I have seen the pavilion, the big ones from India, from Switzerland, from Germany. We have a very small one there. So, but like I said, maybe we can, bring the big one in later years and, invite more people. So, yeah.
It's a step forward.
It's a step forward for sure.
I want to come to Anup now. Governments of South Korea, for instance, and Iran as well, they invest in film industry relatively higher and well enough to solidify the sector itself. How have you viewed government's investment here in Nepal?
I think still the impact of cinemas is not evaluated or understand by our government yet. What can cinemas make changes in the life of many people over here, or what can it what it can take from the countries to the international platforms. We have not evaluated it, and we have not understand the impact of it. For me, as I studied in South Korea, they have lots of things, and they progress quite heavily after 2000. The status of Nepali films and South Korea back then was kind of similar. So when government is aware of cinemas, and when a government is aware of protecting the arts and artists, and then only art flourish. So I think the conversations and discussions are going on with new ministers, and recently people are talking about new film bill that is supposed to pass, but they have some kind of questions going around. And with the impact of even Elephants in the Fog recently has just realized, what can be done in coming years. And for me as a producer, how Nepali film can progress is if government has more interest in producing films, like providing some grants for development, or productions fund, or post-production fund, or helping filmmakers. Like I need support to release Elephants in the Fog in Nepal, and I need support from Film Development Board for distributions. So if they are very serious enough to handle all these things, we can earn revenue at first, and the money will automatically go to the government. If they spend money, means like a certain percentage will be there for them. So, and we have we keep on paying taxes, and I don't know where our tax money are going from film development boards. I don't think doing different stops like trainings, which might not be required sometimes, and spending the money over there, rather than investing in some short films or some scripts or something like that, So the conversation is coming here because no one has taken film seriously, although we have a history of almost 60 years now. No one has taken cinema seriously, and this is a prime time. And I'm very happy we have having these conversations, and many young filmmakers are aware of the government, that government should be there to help them around.
We can be hopeful. Avinash, when we talk about films that goes to festivals like these, there is a general understanding that the type of film made for festivals and the type of film made for the general audience are different. Do you think so?
Festival actually receive hundreds of films, like they call it, art film. I mean, whatever films that in Nepal, even from Nepal, there are many films, they have been submitting, and they call it, it's art film, very slow burn kind of film. But then, with this project, Elephants in the Fog, I really don't want that boundary, because this film about this boundary, we set, it's either this or that. We really blurred that, boundary, and because it's a very fast-paced film, and with the one of the genre is thriller genre, and it's kind of commercial film for me, and this film is just recently selected in Cannes. So the thing in most of the filmmakers, not just in Nepal, in South Asia, they think this slow kind of film will travel to to the festival like Cannes or anywhere. But then with this film, with the elephant, we have changed. I mean, for me, I mean, I think it was a clear intention for me, because the very first intention was, at least in Nepal, people see more and more people should see this film, not for the producer aspect, for as a director, because the intention of this film, why I'm making this film and what I'm dealing with this film, and for that reason, many people have to see, and if I make very slow kind of film, I mean, they will get bored. So it was my intention from the writing, you know, no, I have to make audience, you know, sit in a chair and engage in the film, you know.
Yes.
So for that reason, we have tried this, and like I said, you know, Khan accepted that film. So it's not that only the art film, like you said, you know. I mean, for the general audience and the festival films, we have blurred that line with this film. I mean, many of, you know, if you look at the trailer of our film, you know, it's so mainstream, you know. So yeah.
We are all looking forward to watching the film. When will we get to watch it?
Yes. That he can answer.
We have our own distributor here in Nepal. T-Fox Nepal is handling the distribution, and he's one of the co-producers of the film. His name is Prachanaman Shrestha, and we during Cannes we announced our distributors, but we're looking for the calendar, and probably we'll have our films on September 1st week.
Great, September.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are busy with this project itself right now, but what other projects are you exploring next? What can we see you next in?
Right now, I don't have any. I mean, I'm not planning for anything to do because I have to
go back to office.
Yeah, go back to office.
She'll wait for traveling all film festivals that we'll have it, and then her plan. I'm her manager now, and then she's waiting for Nepal premiere as well, and
yes.
she wants to see how Nepali audience will react,
yeah.
and she really after Elephants, she really want to get into acting as well. You know, she discover herself more with the tools that she finds acting tool. You know, so.
Well, that's the another part. I have one plan, but I'm just thinking that I will do, but it will take time. Later, you will all know what I'm going to do. But beside that, right now I don't have any plan. Just going back to office and working as regular, which I'm doing in
that plan you mentioned is a secret for now.
Yes, secret.
Which you cannot reveal at all.
No, not now. Not now.
When can
one day people and audience will know. One day.
Oh, wow. I'm excited for you.
Avinash, what about you?
For me, I'm currently developing a new feature film, and it's an adaptation of a short film that Deepak Rana wrote. So I'm planning to do that. Let's see where it goes. But I really want to do it, you know, soon. I mean, I cannot wait. So that's for me.
Anu?
I'm just reading some scripts, and I am probably producing like 1-2 films in 2026, let's say. Yeah.
As we've, of course, I've understood that, yes, this is a story portrayed by a trans character, but it's also a family story about every family that we've seen. But when it releases to a wider audience, what kind of impact do you expect to see in the ground level?
A first understanding to make this film is to have a very beautiful story of a very dysfunctional family where a mother and her daughters are living together, and that's a joy, that's anger, that's frustrations, and generally our daily life of ours wants to show it. And since our film is of a transformer mother and daughter, my first concern when I was doing it was I was very skeptical about how people will perceive it, or it will make money or not, or something like that, you know. But what I realized is, like, as a person, what kind of story I want to tell, it matters. And probably, like, it's a very courageous or a bravery to make this film and get into mainstream audiences or theaters. It's like, as a film producer or somewhere an activist in heart, you know, if I can't do this, or if I don't bring story to the audience, then who will do it, So we took a lot of courage to make these films, and when we were developing the script, or when Avinash was developing the story, we are not talking about any issues of trans, we are taking as a mother and daughter, and everyone will enjoy. And when they will enter in the cinemas, while they're watching the films, they will just see a story of mother through this actress. And some people, like in our society, there are people who are very transphobic, there are different kind of peoples, but the thing is, like, when they'll start to watch, they'll have empathy towards the woman that we are portraying. And I hope it will change some narrative to look after them or something like that. And since it's like till now more than 2,000 people have watched it in Cannes, like there were like more than 4,000, I can say it, because it was screened 2 times and world premiere, and we have 3 times we have screened in 3 times in big auditorium. And
this emotion you were talking about that you hope to generate, it was clearly seen during the screening as well. I think you had 8 minutes of standing ovation.
Yes. And what you have said is so important for me. When you said empathy, maybe audience will have empathy towards trans women. I mean, they like we said, maybe they see the community, the person, as a whole human being. So that's the
and also, like, this kind of conceptions are asking this kind of question is itself a bravery attempt, because we people, like, in general, we have very preconceived thought about anything, and we made our perspectives in we immediately bring our perspective without thinking. This kind of conversations even make people to understand many subject matters, and when people will watch it, then they will realize it. If they don't watch, then they will miss the biggest beautiful film ever made in Nepal.
I always kept in my mind and my heart that this project will make a particular, bring a particular change for ourselves and for the society, that they will know us and they will reach out to us and they will know our story. I haven't imagined about Cannes and Film Festival at all, but what I thought that is this project will bring us in front, where we are invisible in our society. We are just fighting for our rights and for our health. That's it. And we are just in the box of this society. But this film brings us in a world stage, and definitely it works, and it did.
And it's going to add on and hopefully change. It's a long process.
Yeah. And one more thing, which is very important. The film is not about trans community only. It's all about a human being, and it's all about a story of mother and daughter. And I'm sure after watching this movie, people will realize
it's a human story.
Yeah.
Pushpa, how did you feel when the audience gave standing ovation for many minutes?
I can't explain. Oh my God, I don't have any words. And I'm really thankful to all the people who appraises us, and Avinash, Anup, and these guys are, oh my God, I'm just loving them, because you know what? Nobody dares to bring this story, this kind of story in front of the cinema, and the people always takes us as a part of joke and just a nachaniya type and just a clapping. It's not about clapping and nachaniya type.
Yeah.
They dared it, and they bring it in front of the society, in front of the nation, as we can. As we all can see in worldwide standing ovation. Oh my God, means a lot for me. Means a lot.
Yeah, it gives.
Courage. It gives us for the visibility, encouragement, and empowerment also.
Yeah.
How did you feel during that moment?
I felt so overwhelmed. I wanted to cry, but I was stopping so hard myself, but I couldn't. And all those hard works, and I felt like it's paid off. I mean, everyone was praising with the claps and everything.
Yes.
That was
Anand,
amazing.
quickly, how did you feel?
I cried before the screening, actually.
Why?
Why?
No, like we have a photo call, and then we had a green room before the screening, and everyone was having champagne. I took my champagne and I was in the corner. What I realized in all this year is like I did a lot for the project, financially, mentally, physically, emotionally. I was so weak at that point, and then that day was a very big day for me because I am giving the film to the full audience filled with in the auditorium, So I'm taking out something from which was very hard to put inside me because I suffer a lot while making the film, but I'm giving it to the people, and then I feel like the film is finished. That's the feeling I had it, and I literally cried, and then I don't know what emotion it was. It was so hard to. Sometimes you don't understand the emotion you are crying, but still, it took me. Sorry, it took me like 2 to 3 days to process the emotion, what it was, or something like that. So that was my feeling, and during the standing ovations, because I've watched another film as well. Like before I have watched it, and when you like the film, the claps and people cheer up, it really mean a lot for the people who are associated with it. It actually comes to you, as an artist, people are only as a director, they are very very greed of claps, not the money, okay? Praising by the audience.
Means more.
Yeah, it means more, and somewhere of validations, that you did it. I like your film.
You made it.
Yeah.
Very quickly, for young producers, aspiring producers, what would be your message?
I think as a producer, they should have a very good creative knowledge of writing, directions, or something good. They should be creative enough to handle the whole things and understand the market, like how Nepali film industry works. You need to know people over here. So I think reading more scripts and understanding the scripts matters at first. Yeah.
Pushpa, what would your message be to your audience?
Just be a human being. That's it.
Wonderful.
Empathetic.
Yeah, in an empathetic way.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Avinash?
For me, I would say don't give up, because it's we say highs and lows. Here mostly it's lows.
It's lows, and
so don't give up. Eventually, it will turn yourself really tough to handle things, and it will eventually pay off. Don't give up, really.
Great. Thank you all for being here and for sharing your experiences. And once again, congratulations and all the best for the future.
Thank you very
so
much.
And namaste.
Thank you.
शादी के दिन में बाजे ढोलकिया सुना ए सखिया ना दुल्हा के सिर पे बांधल मौरिया सुना ए सखिया ना la 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 la.
वादी नीलम जो है ये चिलाने से शुरू होता है तो भट तक, ये एक पूरे एक वादी है और इसको वादी नीलम कहते हैं। और हमारा गांव जो है ये दुबारियाँ शहरी ये हमारा गांव है, और ये गांव तकरीबन यहाँ ये ऊपर और ये जगह भी उसी में शामिल है, जिस जगह हम बैठे हुए हैं ये भी दुबारियाँ शहरी में शामिल है। और हमारे गांव की आबादी तकरीबन जो है ये 250 घराना है, तकरीबन 3000 की आबादी पर मुश्तमिल ये गांव हमारा है। इस इलाके में जो है ये एक तो चश्मे है ज़्यादा उनका है, दूसरा फिर जंगलात है। जंगलात में ये हरे हरे दरख्त हैं जिसमें देवदार भी है, फर भी है, काइल भी है। ये सब्ज़ा ज़्यादा होता है और सब्ज़ा की वजह से फिर ऊंची ऊंची पहाड़ियाँ हैं, ये बहते हुए दरिया, इसकी वजह से इसके अंदर ज़्यादा खूबसूरती है। फिर बिलखुसूस यहाँ पर रत्ती गली जो है ये तो सब यहाँ मशहूर जगह है, बहुत खूबसूरत झील है वहाँ पर, और ये पूरा इलाका बड़ा खूबसूरत इलाका है। पहले ज़माने में जब हम लोग छोटे छोटे थे ना, उस वक्त ये था कि यहाँ बिजली और दीगर चीज़ का कोई इंतज़ाम नहीं था। हम लोग ये क्या करते थे, छोटे छोटे जब स्कूल पढ़ते थे तो हम ये देवदार जो है दरख्त, इसकी वो लकड़ियाँ नीचे से निकालते थे छोटी छोटी, जिसको हम अपनी ज़ुबान में दिल्ली कहते हैं। कुछ अरसे बाद हुआ है ये लालटेनें जो हैं ये आई, और इसमें हम तेल लाते थे, वो तेल डाल कर बस थोड़ी देर के लिए जलाते थे ताकि तेल भी थोड़ा इस्तेमाल हो, इसलिए कि पसमानदा इलाका था, इधर इतने वो वसाइल नहीं थे कमाई के, दीगर मामलात नहीं थे जिसकी वजह से लोग ये चीज़ों को इस्तेमाल कर सकें। टीवी में नहीं था, दीगर और ज़रूरियात भी नहीं थे, ये मोबाइल वगैरह ये कुछ भी नहीं था, तो जिसकी वजह से बिल्कुल ये था, ये समझ लें कि हम पत्थर के ज़माने में रहते थे। तो हमने सोचा यार हमारा गांव सबसे पीछे है, लिहाजा हम सोचे कि यहाँ पर तरक्की होनी चाहिए, हमारे गांव के लोग आगे जाएं। लकड़ का ये टरबाइन बनाया और पहली लाइट जो है ये मस्जिद में जलाई, वो जब एक बल्ब जला उसकी रोशनी, तो हमें उम्मीद होगी कि हम ये काम कर सकते हैं। फिर हम अपने गाँव वालों के साथ मिले कि भाई आओ हम मिलकर मुश्तरका तौर पर इस काम को करते हैं। तो हम 2003 में पहली मरतबा जब हमने इस बिजली का जो इब्तदा की है, 2 गाँव में हमने बिजली का इंतज़ाम कर लिया, तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उसके बाद ये इंतज़ाम शुरू हुआ, जिसकी वजह से काफ़ी सारी तरक्की भी हुई गाँव में अंदर और बहाली भी आई। इस बिजली की वजह से हमारे जंगलात जो हैं ये थोड़े बहुत महफूज हो गए। फिर अच्छे तरीके से जो बच्चे तालीम हासिल नहीं कर सकते थे, जिनके पास वसाइल कुछ भी नहीं थे, अब वो बच्चे आकर अपनी तालीम, मसलन दिन को स्कूल जाते हैं दूर दराज, शाम को जब वापस आते हैं रात 11 बजे तक बैठकर, रोशनी का इंतज़ाम है, उसमें अपने स्कूल का वो जो सबक उस्तादों ने रात का काम होमवर्क घर का दिया होता है वो उसको कर लेते हैं, उसमें आसानी हो जाती है, ये दुश्वारी नहीं होती।
हमने भी किसी को बुरे वक्त में छोड़ दिया, हमने भी किसी का साथ नहीं दिया, तो अल्लाह क्या है नाराज हो गया, अल्लाह ने हमारे लिए भी मुसीबत ला दी।
तमाम शहरी कानून की नज़र में बराबर है और कानूनी तहफ़्फ़ुज़ के मुसावी तौर पर हकदार है। जिन्स की बिना पर कोई इम्तियाज़
उसके हवाले से फिर हम इसके लिए ग्रीन का इंतज़ाम करते हैं, इसके लिए बेल्ट का इंतज़ाम करते हैं, और जो बंदा हमने मुलाज़म रखा है उसको खोलने बंद करने का, चलाने का, लाइन में बुलाने की करता है, जो उसमें अखराजात होते हैं, इसकी ज़रूरियात होती है, और जब आप लोग हमें नहीं, इसका हमने ऐसा अपना सिस्टम रखा हुआ है कि हम जो हमारे 3 गांव हैं यहाँ से ऊपर, उनमें हम महीने में 1 मरतबा उनके साथ मीटिंग करते हैं, उन सब मेम्बरान को जमा करते हैं। एक कमेटी बनी हुई है, 6 रुकनी कमेटी है, तो उसमें बाकायदा एक सदर है, जनरल सेक्रेटरी वगैरह, ये सारा पूरा एक सेटअप है। तो जब हम बैठते हैं कि भाई अब इसको हम आगे इसके अंदर कोई बेल्ट की ज़रूरत है, ग्रीस की ज़रूरत है, दीगर जो भी ज़रूरियात हैं, तो उनके साथ हम बैठकर मीटिंग करते हैं। तो हमको जो चीज़ ज़रूरत पड़ती है कि अब इस पर इतने अखराजात हैं या इसकी नाली जो है वो टूट जाती है, उसके लिए ज़रूरियात पड़ती है, तो हम आपस में बैठकर कुछ पैसे जमा कर लेते हैं। तकरीबन 16 अगस्त 2022 को जब फ्लड आया तो उस फ्लड में ये सारा कुछ सिस्टम तबाह हो गया था। 2 जनरेटर हमने लगाए हुए थे, 15 kV का वहाँ पर था और 30 kV का इधर था। तो ये वो भी दोनों ख़त्म हो गए, उनका कुछ भी नहीं मिला। ये टर्बाइन थी, इसको तोड़ दिया था। ये पुली नई हमने मंगवाई, ये नलके जो सब थे, ये नया सिस्टम हमने पूरा किया इसका दोबारा। जब ये बिजली आ गई ना, तो इसकी वजह से ये हुआ कि जो हमारे मुतल्लिकीन थे उन्होंने गेस्ट हाउस बनाए। जब गेस्ट हाउस बना दिए तो उनके अंदर ये हुआ कि जब ये टूरिज़म आते थे वहाँ पर उनको इंटरनेट और दीगर सहूलियात मैसर होती थी। जब बिजली होती है तो फिर वो सारी सहूलियात उनको मैसर हो जाती हैं। तो इससे ये हो गया खुशहाली होगी। फिर लोगों जब टूरिज़म आना शुरू हो गया तो लोगों ने अपनी जीपें ख़रीद ली, कुछ लोगों ने अपने घोड़े ले लिए। तो जीपों पर यहाँ से आगे रत्ती गली तक ले जाते हैं। 18 किलोमीटर का फासला जो है वहाँ पर लोग चले जाते हैं। वहाँ से आगे तकरीबन 2 किलोमीटर या 1.5 किलोमीटर है, वहाँ पर घोड़ों के ज़रिए से लोग ऊपर झील पर पहुँच जाते हैं। वहाँ पर रोज़गार मुहैया हो गया लोगों को।
तो इधर 15 साल पहले लाइट आई है, हाइडल पावर। तो इधर अपना हाइडल पावर बनाया। फिर पहले लाइट का बहुत ज़्यादा इशू था, लाइट नहीं थी। हाइडल पावर बने, मिल के सब लोगों ने काम किए, तो अब कोई मसला नहीं है लाइट का। टूरिस्ट वगैरह भी आते हैं तो आसानी से कमाई होती है। हमारे जो मर्द हजरात हैं वो उधर टूरिस्ट उधर होते हैं, गेस्ट हाउस पे होते हैं, तो उधर वो चला रहे हैं। तो घर पे हम खाना बना के ख़वातीन हजरात भेजती हैं उधर खाना, मिल के हम काम करते हैं सारे। तो गुजारा सही है, अच्छी तरह से गुजारे से भी सही है, अच्छा बनता है, सब कुछ निज़ाम सही चलता है।
तकरीबन 11 साल हो गए मुझे यहाँ टूरिज़म पे काम करते हुए। और जब हम इस वैली में आए थे 20 साल पहले फायर आया, जब हम इस वैली में आए थे तो उस वक्त कुछ भी नहीं था यहाँ। और ये हमने तकरीबन 2005 में ये वैली ओपन हुई थी और उसके बाद 2008 में ये बिल्डिंगें लीज़ पे गई हैं और 2012 में हमने इसको स्टार्ट लिया है। तो उसके बाद हमने काम करते करते माशाल्लाह अभी काफ़ी टूरिज़म भी बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया है। और उसके बाद अभी काफ़ी लोगों ने गेस्ट हाउस भी बना लिए हैं यहाँ पे।
हमारे इलाके में जब जगह कम हो जाती है, गेस्ट हाउस में जगह नहीं होती, तो फिर अपने घरों में भी जो कमरे इजाफी होते हैं उनमें इनको ठहरा देते हैं। जब वो आते हैं उनको देसी खाना हम लोग खिलाते हैं। जब वो लोग खाते हैं ये चीज़ें देसी, वो खुश होते हैं। तो वो अपने तौर पर तोहफे के तौर पर जो है उन लोगों के साथ जो भी अपने घर में रखता है वो ताउन कर लेते हैं।
What if I told you a story of a place shrouded in mystery and steeped in stones? A place where warriors were born and raised, and their path through the mountains still remain to this day. Ajirkot Gorkha, the unbeaten kingdom.
हामी पाहुनाहरू आउनु हुँदाखेरि हामी यसरी स्वागत गर्छौं अनि अलि-अलि नाचगानहरू पनि देखाउँछौं। मेरो सिंहो नेपाल गाउनु कि गोरखामा गर्व लाग्छ जन्मिएछु साथै स्वर्गमा म त नेपालकी छोरी भन्छन् गोर्खाली। जस्तो घाटु चुड्काहरू भन्ने चाहिँ विशेष गरी हुन्छ यहाँ।
For those seeking a luxurious escape, there are stunning lodges that offer an indulgent retreat amidst the rugged beauty of this place. But for the true adventurers, this place has it all, from trekking through dense forest of Nagapokari trails to exploring ancient temples and learning the rich history of the region. So, what do you fancy? Are you the solo explorer, or do you prefer luxury within nature? Or perhaps you are the one who seeks to witness it all. Well, after all, life is a box of chocolates, and this place is filled with surprises. Welcome to the place where magic and reality intertwine, where the wonders of nature are both breathtaking and awe-inspiring. From the elevations of 300 meters to a towering 8,000 meters, this place will leave you mesmerized and in awe.
The United States and Iran traded strikes as negotiations between the two sides halted, and Tehran again insisted any peace deal must cover Israel's escalating offensive into Lebanon. Weeks of indirect talks marked by stroke threats and several waves of airstrikes have so far failed to agree on an end to the war or the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, the key shipping channel for Gulf oil and gas. The latest exchange of fire coincided with Israel expanding its offensive into Lebanon, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to push deeper into the country and instructing the military to strike terror targets in a southern district of Beirut. The United States has backed its allies' operations in Lebanon against the Iran-backed group Hezbollah, while still trying to come to an agreement with Iran to end the war it launched in late February with the strikes of Tehran, reopen Hormuz, and impose controls on Iran's nuclear program. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei had said that the United States had continued to violate the ceasefire, adding that a ceasefire in Lebanon remains a key condition for a deal. He added that ongoing tensions in the region continue to undermine diplomatic efforts aimed at restoring stability and reaching a durable political settlement.
ما تأکید کردیم و کماکان تأکید داریم بر این نکته که آتش بس در لبنان بخش لاینفک هر گونه آتش بس و هر گونه توافق نهایی برای خاتمه جنگ هست. آمریکا هم در منطقه ما نمونهش رو همین امروز عرض کردم مرتکب نقض آتش بس داره میشه و هر اقدامی که لازم بدونیم برای دفاع از امنیت ملی ایران، برای دفاع از ما هر وقت لازم بشه که در رابطه با موضوعات هسته‌ای کاری رو انجام بدیم خودمون به خوبی میدونیم چگونه عمل کنیم. یک. دو، اینکه در مورد جزئیات مباحث مرتبط با موضوع هسته‌ای هیچ مذاکره‌ای در این مرحله صورت نگرفته. من بازم تکرار میکنم در این مرحله تمرکز ما بر خاتمه جنگ هست.
On the other side, Israel's prime minister has ordered more attacks on the southern suburbs of Lebanon's capital, Beirut, as the conflict with the Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah continues to escalate. Netanyahu said terrorist targets in the Hezbollah stronghold of Dahieh would be struck in response to attacks on Israeli civilians and other violations over US-brokered ceasefire announced in April that has failed to end the fighting.
יחד עם שר הביטחון, הנחיתי את צה"ל לתקוף מטרות טרור בביירות. לא יהיה מצב שחיזבאללה תוקף את ערינו ואת אזרחינו, ומפקדות הטרור שלו בביירות, בדחיה, יישארו מחוץ לתחום. אנחנו ממשיכים להעמיק את הפעילות שלנו בשטח בדרום לבנון, מחסלים מעוזי חיזבאללה במנוסה. אנחנו נחושים להחזיר את הביטחון לתושבי הצפון, בדיוק כפי שעשינו לתושבי הדרום.
The latest escalation comes after Israeli troops occupying southern Lebanon crossed the Litani River to seize the 900-year-old Beaufort Castle that sits on the top of a strategically important rise. The United States has issued a notice affirming its restrictions on shipments of semiconductors to subsidiaries of Chinese companies located outside China amid concerns about loopholes in Washington's export control regime. The Department of Commerce said in the guidance issued on Sunday that its licensing requirements for the export of advanced AI chips apply to all businesses with headquarters or a parent company in China. Unveiled in the final days of the Biden administration, the framework proposed the implementation of a globe-spanning licensing regime to control access to AI chips, including export caps for all but the closest U.S. allies. The framework drew backlash from tech companies including NVIDIA, the world's most valuable chip company, which cast the proposal as a threat to innovation and cross-border collaboration. President Donald Trump's administration scrapped the framework last May before its implementation, citing the burdensome new regulatory requirements and the harm it would do to Washington's diplomatic relations with other countries. Chip giant NVIDIA, whose top-of-the-line Blackwell GPUs are banned for export to China, already said it has been operating in keeping with the clarified rules. Hundreds of devotees gathered at Mongolia's Gandan Monastery to welcome sacred relics of Arihant Sariputra and Arihant Maudgalyayana, the chief disciples of Gautam Buddha, in a move aimed at deepening cultural and spiritual ties between India and Mongolia. The relics housed at the UNESCO-listed Sanchi Stupa were sent to Mongolia following a request by Mongolian President Kirill Sukukna during talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi last year. The relics were received with ceremonial prayers led by the monastery's supreme abbot, while dignitaries including Lakshman Prasad Acharya and Mongolia's education minister Enk Amgalan Lobsang Seren paid their respects. Indian officials said the exposition organized by India's Ministry of Culture and the International Buddhist Confederation is expected to strengthen bilateral cultural relations and promote Buddhist pilgrimage tourism to India. The relics will be displayed to the public at Gandan Monastery until June 10. The visit also saw the finalization of a Memorandum of Understanding governing the transfer and exhibition of the sacred relics, underscoring growing cooperation between the two countries in cultural and religious exchanges. Heavy rains threatened to delay the search for 2 people missing in a flooded cave in Laos after the rescue of 5 other people who were trapped underground for over a week. Finnish diver Mikko Pasi, one of the first international rescuers to arrive at the site, said the rains had filled the cave up to the second chamber, preventing divers from entering the cave until pumps can lower the water level. Making the situation even more difficult, a drainage pump broke down. Pasi, quoting the survivors said there's a narrow crack in the fifth chamber that could be a passage leading to a deeper part of the cave system. Rescue teams from Laos and neighboring Thailand have been working together in the past week at the site in a rugged area in the central province of Sesambun, about 120 kilometers north of the capital, Vientiane. They were joined by divers from countries including Finland, Malaysia, Japan, Indonesia, France, and Australia. Several of the rescuers previously took part in the complicated 2018 cave rescue in northern Thailand that saved 12 schoolboys and their soccer coach from a flooded cave. The 7 villagers reportedly entered the cave last week to look for valuable minerals such as gold before being trapped by a flash flood that blocked their way out. One other villager escaped and alerted the authorities. The rescued men are being treated at a local hospital and are doing well as per news reports. A group of Japanese creators is betting on traditional print media to reach new audiences and foster deeper engagement as artificial intelligence reshapes the media landscape and digital platforms dominate content consumption. Inside a bustling printing factory in Kyoto, copies of a photo essay roll off the presses, part of an initiative aimed at reviving interest in physical publications at a time when AI-generated content is becoming increasingly prevalent. The project reflects a broader effort by publishers, photographers, and independent media creators to differentiate their work through tangible, curated experiences that cannot easily be replicated by algorithms or AI tools. The renewed interest in print comes as media organizations worldwide grapple with shifting consumer habits, declining traditional readership, and the rapid rise of generative AI technologies. The project also highlights a growing niche market for limited edition print works, where exclusivity and physical storytelling are used to build stronger audience connections. In the Sundarbans, the vast mangrove forests shared by Bangladesh and India, local communities continue to rely on deep-rooted spiritual beliefs while navigating one of the world's most dangerous natural environments. Residents who depend on the forest for their livelihoods say faith in supernatural protection remains central to survival. Honey collectors, fishermen, and woodcutters have long invoked protective spirits before entering the mangroves, where encounters with Bengal tigers and other hazards are common. Honey hunter Zanarul Dali said his family tradition includes prayers before expeditions into the forest, recalling a past incident in which his uncle was killed by a tiger. Bon Baby, a figure in regional folklore, is widely regarded by forest-dependent communities as a guardian spirit offering protection in the Sundarbans, where natural dangers and wildlife threats remain constant. The belief in Bon Baby endures as a cultural safeguard, reflecting how communities in the Sundarbans blend spirituality with survival in a harsh natural environment.
A village on shores of Lake Van is attracting increasing attention with its natural beauty, historical caves, and faith tourism sites. Injekaya village in Tatvan district of Bitlis has become a popular destination, especially during summer, for local and foreign visitors. Located by the clear waters of Lake Van, the village offers calm bays and scenic views suitable for swimming, camping, photography, and picnics. The Injekaya caves, carved into rocks and dating back to the Urartu period, present a unique setting where history and nature meet. The protected site draws visitors interested in hiking and exploring ancient structures. The Bapir-e-Kal Shrine, also known as Hussein Dede Shrine, stands out as an important place for faith tourism and attracts visitors throughout the year. Local residents say the village should be promoted more for tourism due to its rich natural and cultural value. Nature observer Jihan Onen said the crescent-shaped bay, rock-carved caves, and shrines increase visitor interest. He added that climbers can reach the summit after about 2-hour climb, and the area is also suitable for nature camps and outdoor activities. He also warned that some steep areas carry safety risks and advised inexperienced climbers to avoid climbing alone and to use guides. Over 1,800 people named O'Sullivan or Sullivan from across Ireland and around the world gathered in Castletownbere, County Cork, to break the Guinness World Record for the largest assembly of people sharing the same surname. The record, officially verified by Guinness, was previously held by a gathering of Gallaghers, also in Ireland. The event featured live music, traditional food, and family activities, drawing participants of all ages who travelled from as far as the United States, Australia, and Canada. Organizers said the gathering was not only about setting a record, but also celebrating the rich history and heritage of the O'Sullivan clan. Officials praised the community spirit, calling the event a remarkable testament to the bonds of family and culture. The successful record attempt is expected to boost tourism and strengthen connections among members of the global Irish diaspora. Participants described the occasion as a once-in-a-lifetime celebration of identity, ancestry, and community pride. A rare pair of twin lotus flowers has been discovered in the Putzehei scenic area of southwest China's Yunnan province, marking the first such occurrence recorded there this year. The twin lotus flowers, found in a 10-hectare water lily cultivation area within the scenic site, are growing from a single flower stalk with two buds developing side by side. The buds are expected to bloom in the coming days. Twin lotus flowers are considered an exceptionally rare natural phenomenon, with an occurrence rate estimated at roughly 1 in 100,000. According to local authorities, the formation cannot be artificially cultivated or replicated through human intervention. In Chinese culture, twin lotus flowers are traditionally regarded as symbols of love, harmony, and good fortune, often drawing public interest when they appear. The discovery comes as Putzehei enters its annual peak flowering season. The scenic area, known for its extensive lotus and water lily landscapes, has attracted increasing numbers of visitors eager to view the rare botanical phenomenon. Local tourism officials said the twin lotus flowers have become a focal point for tourists and photographers, adding to the seasonal appeal of the destination during the summer bloom period.
Muslim pilgrims concluded the Hajj pilgrimage with a farewell tawaf at the Grand Mosque in Makkah, experiencing moments of deep devotion as they performed the final circumambulation of the Kaaba. The ritual marks the official end of the annual pilgrimage. The Grand Mosque saw high densities of worshippers, with authorities maintaining strict operational oversight to ensure safety and order. The General Authority for the Care of the Affairs of the Grand Mosque and the Prophet's Mosque coordinated closely with relevant agencies under an integrated operational plan for this year's Hajj season. All available resources were mobilized to manage crowd movement and facilitate the expedited departure of pilgrims. Measures were implemented to ensure smooth circulation within the mosque complex, allowing pilgrims to perform the farewell tawaf efficiently and with minimal disruption, reflecting the authorities' focus on safety, logistical coordination, and the orderly conduct of religious rituals.
The opening night of the Da Nang International Fireworks Festival has officially begun. Recognized by Travel Plus Leisure magazine as one of the 9 most worthwhile summer festivals on the planet, this year's Da Nang International Fireworks Festival promises a dramatic season with the participation of 10 competing teams from around the world. Vietnam and China are the 2 opening teams, while the Vietnam team aims to transform the Han River into a space that tells the story of the vibrant city through light. The Chinese team presents a performance titled Flower of the Orient. The performance offers audiences a vibrant picture of life and the aspiration for connection between humankind and nature, taking them on a journey through masterpieces of light, music, and art. Following the opening night, the competitions will take place every Saturday evening.
Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Vishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy, and later the Jaya Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels, Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump, so the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Turikhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players. "45 minutes flight across 214 kilometers, we landed at the Simikot airport. It was a great relief to land in Simikot for us, who had spent few days in hot Nepalganj. The cool breeze welcomed us to our great expectations. According to locals, Simikot got its name with the combination of Simi and Kot. Indeed, it is the combination of Sim meaning wetland and Kot meaning green meadow. Simikot is a major point for pilgrims traveling to Mount Kailas and Mansarovar in Tibet via Hilsa. This is the easiest way to the Mansarovar, and thus many Indian pilgrims are seen here.
मेन त यो हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ तपाईको अब भनौं न अब कैलाश मानसरोवरकै गेटवे भएकोले एउटा यहाँ आउने भयो। अब हामीले पनि अब भनौं न तपाईको हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ अब तपाईँको यो सदरमुकाम हो, मेन ल्यान्डिङ पोइन्ट हो होइन। अब यहाँबाट तपाईँको पर्यटकहरूलाई जस्तै हाम्रो यहाँ रलिङ गुम्बाहरू छ, खारबुनाथ मन्दिरहरू छ होइन। जस्तै यहाँ तपाईँको एकदम के भन्छ प्राकृतिक सुन्दरताहरू हेर्ने ठाउँहरू थुप्रै छ, किनभने हामीले त्यो ठाउँहरूलाई चाहिँ फोकस गर्न नसकेर बाहिर ल्याउन नसकेर मात्र हो। अब ल्याउन सक्यो भने पर्यटनहरू आवश्यक नै बढी मात्रामा बढ्छ भन्ने आशा छ।
We arrived Simikot with a throng of travelers to Humla, comprising some domestic and foreign tourists. Soon our team became a cozy group of travelers. We traveled together to Limi of Namkha, among the 7 rural municipalities of the district: Simikot, Namkha, Kharpunath, Chankheli, Sarkegad, Adnacholi and Tanzakot. The jeep ride in the gravelled road is some kind of experience in this majestic terrain. However, we were disturbed by the landslides at various places of the rural road and left to travel on foot. We arrived at Chaudan Foya after a few hours of walk, but our overnight stay was still a few hours trek to Dharapuri. We stopped at many places on our way just to capture the natural beauty of the place and feel the magic in the air. These hills and the spontaneous Karnali river kept inspiring us. And on the way we see many stories of hope, determination and struggle of the locals. It was almost dusk, but our destination was still at some distance. So we increased our pace along with the local children accompanying us. We are thankful to these kids, without whom we would not have been able to know some of the very well-known places on the way. Almost 8:30 in the evening, we were still struggling to find the house where we were supposed to spend the night. Now our team was no more intact, as all had their own arrangements in small groups. We had no option but to find a place to rest for the night. We were overwhelmed by the humility and warmth of the local people. They offered a bunch of unknown travelers food and accommodation with open heart. This reminded us of the slogan, "Guest is God," in real terms. Not the most affluent of the societies, but very welcoming at heart. In need, but have the humility. Poverty-ridden, but full of humanity. We salute the rural folks who mess around the year in this inhospitable terrain for survival. The next morning, we all get together. Our next destination was Kermi. The whistling sound of Karnali flowing down somewhere, the rocky hills and the small trails like ropes attached in these hills. Risky and dangerous. Not the best of conditions for trekking, but that's where the thrill is. That's where the adventure is. The waterfalls and ponds on the way relieve us from our fatigue instantly. Chachara is one of the biggest waterfalls in this place. The soothing touch of the crystal clear water of the fall is refreshing. Our lunch was at Dade Kermi, where small tents were set up by the locals to serve food and some rest for travelers. The Chinese stoves used here are smokeless and must have eased the life of the rural folks to a larger extent. We had seen these types of stoves in Dharapuri as well. Before starting another long day of trek after lunch, we had a little rest here. Our journey to Limi is still a long way to finish. We also did not get any chance of hitchhiking as no vehicle was plying on the road due to landslide obstructions. Our journey was getting arduous by the hour, but we did not miss the chance to enjoy the natural wonder of the region. Agriculture and cattle are the main profession of the people here. People raise yaks in this rugged terrain, though they have to migrate in winter to find better grazing land locally called kharka for their prized possessions. We found herds of yaks at different places on the way. We even stopped at one of these grazing camps for a cup of tea. This place is called lashing. The tea served here is special with ghee and salt added for extra energy in the cold temperature. No wonder some of us were enjoying this tea for the first time. To our great relief, we got the news that a goods-laden truck was heading towards Limi from Tibet of China. However, we still had some distance to cover to catch the truck. We all wanted to rush with the hope to reach there in time to get a lift. At the moment, we are at Chanso, where there is not enough place for our jumbo team to spend the night. Finally, we decided to spend the night in Chanso itself, as the way ahead was more difficult and riskier. Two families had set up their yak camps here and living in two tents. Our big team had to divide and accommodate in these two tents for the night. We squeezed in for the night anyhow. It's a beautiful morning with bright blue sky, surrounded by tall hills, waterfalls and the whistling Karnali. It was nothing less than a piece of heaven on earth. We mingled with the locals for some time.
गाह्रै छ पानी पनि यहाँ समस्या छ यो दाउरा पनि समस्या छ यहाँ गाह्रै छ गाह्रो त यस पुल पनि समस्या छ नि नराम्रो ठाउँमा बसेको छ नि चिसो ठाउँमा यस्तो समस्या छ नि
यहाँ हामीसँग धेरै चुनौतीहरू पनि छ जस्तै एक्सेसको कुरा गर्ने हो भने रोड राम्रो बनिसकेको छैन अनि त्यसपछि तपाईँ सञ्चारहरू छैन बाटोमा टी सपहरू छैन त्यसपछि त्यही अनुसार जस्तै टुरिज्म व्यवसायको लागि चाहिएको तपाईको के भन्छ यो के रे ह्युमन रिसोर्सहरू पनि राम्रोसँग दक्ष छैन हैन
We had to climb up to the altitude of 4,800 meters to reach Limi. We decided to travel on horses as we were too tired to walk now. We managed horses for our team and set out on our way. We stopped at a beautiful natural pond, locally known as Selima. No one has dared to measure the depth of this pond till date. No one is aware of the mathematics of this ancient natural lake. We also moved ahead with the enthusiasm as to why. No one knows it. 2 hours on the horseback, we arrive at Nyalul Langna at an altitude of 4,800 meters above sea level. Surrounded by white mountains and hills, we found 2 Chinese trucks ready to leave for Limi. It took some effort to climb onto these huge carriers. Around 100 people had boarded on each truck. The local people were also waiting for the truck to depart like we were. The gravelled road and overloaded trucks. The ride was not very comfortable, but we did not have much option either to move ahead. After around 5 hours rough ride, we arrived at Halji village of Limi. Three villages, Tili, Halji and Jang, were collectively called Limi. It was almost evening by the time we reached Halji. The sight of Karnali snaking between the hills, symmetrical houses, green meadows, and the hearty welcome of the locals relieved of our fatigue. Cattle, farming and trade were the main profession of the Denizens of Halji. Yak, growing uwa, a special grain used in making liquor, and traveling to and from Taklakut via Hilsa for trade is part of their life for the locals. Despite the beauty of this magical land, it's far away from tourism. Hardly 50 tourists from outside set their foot on this area every year. millennium-old Halji monastery built by Locha Warinche Samo is the pride of this place. Monk Samo had built this monastery as the last of his 108 structures around the world. Monk Samo is believed to have died while constructing this monastery. The ancient heritage, at the risk of landslide, awaits preservation and promotion.
दायाँको त्यहाँ पहिरोको डर छ यहाँ हैन त्यहाँ बायाँको त्यही डोरीको दुख छ त्यही ढुङ्गाको धेरै दुख छ बिचमा खानु पाउनको पेटको दुख छ यहाँ धेरै आवश्यक छ के छ यहाँ गुम्बा विधानमा त्यही सबै ती पुरानो लिङ्ग मूर्तिकुटी माटोमा लिगेर ती बिग्री जान्छ
We had the opportunity to see the local culture and lifestyle during our trek in Limi. What impressed us the most was the dress, including local bakhu, sonba, chino and quinoa bread. Mount Kailas and the Mansarovar in China are clearly visible from Lapcha of Limi. 7 to 8 hours of truck ride from Halji, we can reach there. We were very much eager to see the Mansarovar and Mount Kailas, so we went to Limi. But to our bad luck, the weather did not help us. We waited for some time for the weather to clear, but there was no sign whatsoever, and we returned disappointed. Had the weather been kind, this was the sight we would have been able to see. Our journey to Limi thus ended on a sad note. We head back to Simikot and Nepalganj and finally to Kathmandu. Back in Kathmandu, every scene and sight we saw on the way is coming back in flashback. Being in this place itself is a treat to the eyes and mind. You forget all the fatigue and physical pain once you reach in this oasis. Undoubtedly, Humla, bordering Mugu, Bajura, Bazan and China towards the north, is a piece of heaven on earth. Pokhara is undoubtedly #1 destination for tourists in Nepal. The valley, blessed with natural beauty, attracts domestic and foreign tourists alike. You must have already visited Pokhara. If you haven't or planning another trip, then these are some of the must-go places in Pokhara. The first attraction in Pokhara is the Feva Lake. Boating in Feva Lake is a ritual for every tourist visiting this paradise. The Tal Barahi temple at the center of the lake adds to the beauty of the place. A round-trip boat ride in Feva Lake to and from the temple is a feature of both the lake as well as the temple. Separate boat ride, watching the reflection of Mount Machapuchre on the lake and fishing spice up the Feva experience. The lakeside along the banks of the Feva Lake is a popular tourist hub. Many tourists in Pokhara choose Devi's Fall as their second destination in Pokhara. The water from Feva Lake exits towards Seti River through the Gupteshwar cave from this Devi's Fall. The mighty water stream rushing deep down into the gorge, covered by water vapor, is a magical sight. Pokhara is known as the city of lakes and caves. Many of the lakes and caves have religious importance. This is Gupteshwar cave at Chorepatan area. Inside the cave, the idol of Lord Shiva is a well-known pilgrimage. Further inside the cave, one can see the Devi's Fall. Mahendra Cave is another famous place in Pokhara, and nearby is another well-known Chamere cave. Both the caves can be visited together. Two other well-known tourist destinations in Pokhara are Begnas and Rupa lakes. Fresh fish of Begnas lake is a sought-after delicacy. Rupa lake is just round the corner beyond a small hill towards the eastern edge of Begnas lake. Away from the hustle and bustle of the town, Begnas and Rupa lakes cannot be taken out of a tourist's itinerary. This is the famous White Monastery on top of the hill above Feva Lake. This is also a popular destination for domestic as well as foreign tourists. The top-angle bird's-eye view of Pokhara city from the monastery is a sight to behold. The placid Feva Lake, the tall mountain range, and the birds like paragliding pilots on the background of Sarankot Hill are mesmerizing. The Bindabasini temple in Pokhara is a famous shrine in Nepal. The best route to visit the temple is on the way to Sarankot. Devotees throng the Bindabasini temple, which is atop a small hill with panoramic view of Pokhara city. The Bindabasini temple is famous among the Hindus across the country. Sarangkot is a hill station on top of a hill on the northwestern side of Pokhara. A must-go place to see the majestic Mount Machapuchre and Mount Dhaulagiri in the Annapurna range in front of the eyes, and also the Pokhara and Leknath cities on the other side. Sarangkot is synonymous to paragliding in Nepal. Taking off from the Sarangkot hill, one can enjoy the panoramic mountain range in addition to the bird's eye view of Pokhara city. Ultralight and zip flyer offer a thrill to adventure seekers in Pokhara and are becoming major interests for tourists. Other places, including Swarak in Sangja, have the potential to be world's best place for paragliding. First time in Nepal, Paragliding Accuracy World Cup was held at this place, situated at Mahapur of Virkot municipality of the district. The place drew global attention after the event. Pokhara, famous tourism destination of the country. Majority of locals engaged in tourism industry. The city of lakes and caves, hub of aviation sports. Some major destinations: Lakeside, Feva Lake and Tal Barahi Temple, Begnas and Rupa Lakes, Mahendra Gufa.
At every bend of the serpentine Bheri River, a new face of nature emerges. Each turn revealing a beauty so varied and mesmerizing that it moves the heart moment by moment. Traveling from Chinchu of Surkhet through Jare and Mehelkuna toward Gorbakot, the Bheri displays its quiet miracles. Over its crystal blue flow drifts the rustle and chirping of dozens of birds. The whisper of nearby trees merges with the vast blue sky, reflecting a harmony of natural splendor. Cutting through Chinchu, heading along the proud and scenic terrain of Gorbakot, our thoughts find themselves racing steadily along the Madan Bhandari highway toward Lake Besi in Surkhet. Our destination, the Raute settlement. We seek to observe closely the lifestyle of this indigenous group, long perceived as distant. We hope to feel a sense of closeness with a community rarely encountered, where the Raute, in their most authentic form, stand before us to share their stories. The Raute have cultivated a unique identity as Nepal's nomadic ethnic group. If someone in their settlement dies, they immediately abandon that location and do not return for 10 years, a tradition that makes permanent settlement extremely challenging. Their temporary homes are built by fixing wooden stakes into the ground, tying cross pieces, and covering the structure with old cloth and tarpaulin.
सधैँभरि यो पुर्खा मेरो पुर्खौली त्यस्तो छ त्यस्तो नभइदिए भए एक ठाउँमा बस्ने थियो एक ठाउँमा नभए यो हजुरलाई हल्दुवार यो घर बनाउँछौँ त्यस्तो घर हामी मन पर्दैन मेरो मन परेको यही यस्तै चिरपाल तागा तागाको राम्रो हुन्छ हामीले यस्तै मन पराउँछ यही गाडो लगाएर राम्रो मान्छौँ अब पहिले हेर्न जानु पर्यो पहिला सबैले त्यो हेर्न तपाई आफै यो हामी आफू त जाँदैन केटाउडु जान्छ त केटाउडु गएर फेरि हेरेर ठाउँ राम्रो छ कि नराम्रो छ कि भनेर ठाउँ यो जहाँ ठाउँ राम्रो भयो त्यही जाने यस्तै पाखामा को बस्न सक्छ र यस्तै समूह जग्गा चाहियो.
Especially during winter, protecting themselves from the cold becomes difficult. They sleep on the bare ground with only thin tarpaulins, not enough clothing to cover their bodies fully. Men wear a loincloth and wrap their backs with coarse cloth, knotted in front and falling to the thighs, with a cap or a small turban on their heads. Women wear a short, patterned skirt of rough fabric and a handmade blouse that covers only part of the torso and chest. Women adorn themselves with earrings, necklaces and bracelets made of iron, brass and aluminum. When we visited in late Kartik, the cold had already set in, yet the Rauti sat on the ground as usual. Even when ill, they rely solely on their chieftain, traditional healing practices and herbal remedies. The Rauti tell that the community consists of 3 clans, Katyal, Raskoti and Samalvanshi Shahi. According to the National Census of 2021, Rauti population stands at 566. It was 618 in the 2011 census.
बात यो कोही मान्छे यो पहिला पहिला त आया थिएन अब आजभोलि त यो सामान पनि आउँछ भट्टा पनि लाग्यो हो कि होइन सामान पनि आउँछ यो तिरपाल पनि आउँछ ब्ल्याङ्केट आउँछ खाना पुग्यो त भइयो अब भोकै मरेको छैन के अरे बाहिरबाट आए भने कामधाडी त गर्नु पर्यो हो कि होइन त्यो काम कुसी बनाउनु पर्यो मधुस बनाउनु पर्यो खाद बनाउनु पर्छ अब दरार जुग्रो हामी बनाउँदैन हजुर.
Traditionally, the Rauti have lived in the forests, ravines and riverbanks of districts like Dailek, Jajarkot, Surkhet, Acham, Salyan, Dang and Kalikot. They dwell in the wilderness, hunt monkeys and carve wooden utensils which they exchange for grain in nearby villages. It's a cycle that sustains their livelihood. The Rauti have distinct marriage customs. After marriage, a separate area is set aside for the couple. According to Rauti belief, a widow should not remarry after her husband's death. Marriages occur strictly within their own community between Rauti youths. Apart from cooking pots at home, an axe for cutting trees, and a chisel-like tool for shaping wood, the Rauti do not store belongings. Men prefer to hunt monkeys using traps, while women gather wild roots and tubers. With just an axe and chisel, they craft wooden utensils. Once, the Rauti believed touching money would bring misfortune. They also avoided speaking with outsiders. But today, they readily ask anyone for money, an indicator of the slow transformation in their lifestyle and consumption habits.
मेरो नाम फुलमाया.
कति वर्षको भयो?
म 18 भयो.
अनि स्कुल जाँदैन?
स्कुल त जान थियो पहिला त जान दिएन. आज भोलि पनि स्कुल जान दिन्न.
कसले?
मुखियाले.
किन नि?
मुखियाले नि पढ्न लेख्न दिन्न त.
किन होला त त्यस्तो?
खै के पो होला नि मुखियाले दिन्न नि. पढ्न जान त मन त लाग्छ तर पढ्न दिन्न.
In recent years, increasing dependence on alcohol has begun to create serious health issues within the community.
कहीं न कहीं यो यहाँ जंगल में बसने बाजार हेर्न जाने भरु किस्टोडा आडा माइने मान्छेमा कसैले बजारको नासै हुन्छ त्यो नास हेर्न जाने कसैले यो मौसुक लाग्छ त्यस्तो मौसुक यो जंगलबाट मौसुक हेरे पनि झन् आउन मान्छे यो मेरो परिवर्तन नगर्ने मान्छे परिवर्तन गरेको कहिले पनि राम्रो भन्दैन हामी मेरो पुर्खैबाट यो परिवर्तन नगरेको मान्छे परिवर्तन गरेको यो पैसा चाहिँ आँखाले पैसा चिनेटा भइहाल्यो.
Nepal's constitution not only recognizes the equal existence, rights and dignity of all ethnic groups, but also ensures fair protection, upliftment, empowerment and development of marginalized and endangered communities. The state has pledged equal distribution of economic, social and cultural opportunities with special provisions for the protection and advancement of disadvantaged people within minority groups. Although the federal and provincial governments have introduced various programs for the Raute community in recent years, the lives of the Raute have yet to see the meaningful improvement envisioned.
House of Representatives session deferred until Tuesday as border remarks trigger protest and political deadlock. Opposition parties warn of fresh parliamentary obstruction unless Prime Minister retracts border remarks. Susta residents alarmed as river protection work faces obstruction and rising flood threat. RSP Chair Ravi Lamichhane arrives India for a 5-day visit, received by BJP leaders at the Delhi airport. US and Iran exchange strikes as nuclear talks stall amid escalating Israel-Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon. And ICC approves global qualifier plan for men's T20 World Cup for associate members, also suspends Canada's membership. Hello there, I am Iprilagi Singh Lama and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours. The details now. The House of Representatives has been adjourned until Tuesday following continued protest by opposition lawmakers over Prime Minister Balendra Shah's remarks on Nepal-India border issues. The disruptions halted today's scheduled agenda as both ruling and opposition members exchanged heated accusations inside the chamber. Speaker D.P. Arial was forced to suspend proceedings after repeated attempts to restore normal business failed. Opposition parties have objected to the Prime Minister's statement, saying it raises serious concerns over national sovereignty and demands immediate clarification from the government. Lawmakers from CPN-UML, Rashtriya Prajatantra Party and Shram Sanskriti Party have also urged the government to present evidence regarding alleged territorial encroachment claims. Meanwhile, Rashtriya Swatantra Party lawmaker Indira Rana Magar questioned whether the protest aligned with parliamentary procedures. With both sides refusing to reach consensus, the House was adjourned without entering its regular agenda. Similarly, the National Assembly was also adjourned until Tuesday after continued obstruction over the same issue. Opposition parties have warned they will continue to obstruct parliamentary proceedings unless Prime Minister Balendra Shah withdraws and apologizes for his remarks on Nepal-India border issues. The issue was discussed during a meeting of opposition parties on Monday. The controversy began after the Prime Minister told the House of Representatives on Sunday that Nepal had also encroached on Indian territory, prompting strong objections from opposition lawmakers. Opposition leaders have demanded that the statement be withdrawn, removed from the official parliamentary record, and followed by an apology in the House. They say parliamentary proceedings will remain disrupted if those demands are not met.
यस्ता खालका अभिव्यक्तिहरुले हाम्रो सार्वभौमिकता हाम्रो मुलुकको तपाईको एउटा भन्छ नि हाम्रो यो सोभरेनिटीको विषयमा राम्रो गरिरहेको छैन त्यसले गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरुले माफी माग्नुपर्छ.
Residents of Susta in West Nawalparasi are worried after reported Indian objection halted river embankment construction along the Narayani River. With the monsoon approaching, delays in flood control works have raised fears of increased erosion risk in the border area. Local authorities say the matter has been reported to the government as the dispute continues over the project site. More on this later in the bulletin. Moving on, Rashtriya Swatantra Party Chair Rabi Lamichhane has reached New Delhi on a 5-day official visit to India at the invitation of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Lamichhane was received at the Indira Gandhi International Airport by BJP's General Secretary and Rajya Sabha member Arun Singh along with other party officials. According to party sources, the visit includes high-level political and diplomatic meetings aimed at strengthening engagement between Nepali and Indian political leadership. Lamichhane is accompanied by his spouse Nikita Paudel, senior party leaders and members of his secretariat. The visit comes at a time of heightened political attention on Nepal-India relations, with expectations that it may further enhance bilateral cooperation. Lamichhane is scheduled to return home on the 5th of June after completing the visit. The United States and Iran have exchanged strikes as negotiations between the two sides stalled amid rising regional tensions. Tehran has reiterated that any peace deal must also address Israel's expanding military operations in Lebanon. Weeks of indirect talks, accompanied by airstrikes and warnings, have so far failed to produce agreement on ending the conflict or reopening the Strait of Hormuz, a key global shipping route. The latest escalation comes as Israel widens its offensive into Lebanon, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordering further strikes on what he called terror targets in southern Beirut. The United States has supported Israel's operations while continuing diplomatic efforts with Iran over the conflict and broader security issues in the region. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqei has said that the United States had continued to violate the ceasefire, adding that a ceasefire in Lebanon remains a key condition for a deal. He added that ongoing tensions in the region continue to undermine diplomatic efforts aimed at restoring stability and reaching a durable political settlement.
ما تأکید کردیم و کماکان تأکید داریم بر این نکته که آتش بس در لبنان بخش لاینفک هر گونه آتش بس و هر گونه توافق نهایی برای خاتمه جنگ هست. سرد آمریکا هم در منطقه ما نمونهش رو همین امروز عرض کردم مرتکب نقض آتش بس داره میشه و هر اقدامی که لازم بدونیم برای دفاع از امنیت ملی ایران، برای دفاع از ما هر وقت لازم بشه که در رابطه با موضوعات هسته‌ای کاری رو انجام بدیم خودمون به خوبی میدونیم چگونه عمل کنیم. یک، دو، اینکه در مورد جزئیات مباحث مرتبط با موضوع هسته‌ای هیچ مذاکره‌ای در این مرحله صورت نگرفته. من بازم تکرار میکنم در این مرحله تمرکز ما بر خاتمه جنگ هست.
The International Cricket Council ICC board has approved a major overhaul to the qualification pathway for future men's T20 World Cups. A new global qualifier system will be introduced featuring a 16-team structure aimed at giving associate and lower-ranked full-member teams a clearer route into the tournament. ICC management has been tasked with finalizing the detailed format. The decision was taken during board meetings held in Ahmedabad on Sunday, where members also discussed global development initiatives and strengthening cricket governance. In a separate ruling, the ICC board suspended Canada from membership with immediate effect due to serious breaches pending further review. The board also approved a trial allowing the pink ball to be used interchangeably in Test cricket to help reduce delays caused by poor light. Now, coming up next, political heat over the Prime Minister's statement on Nepal-India border issues and reactions from major parties. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Welcome back. The political temperature is rising over the Prime Minister's remarks on Nepal-India border issues. The CPN-UML has formally expressed disagreement with comments made by Prime Minister Balendra Shah in the House of Representatives regarding the border dispute. In a statement issued on Monday, UML General Secretary Sankar Pokhrel said the remarks were inconsistent with historical facts, available evidence, and Nepal's established national position. The party further stated that issues related to territory and sovereignty require national consensus, warning that such statements in Parliament could weaken unity and diplomatic standing. The UML also recalled Nepal's 2020 updated political map, including Limpiadura, Lipulekh and Kalapani, which was endorsed by Parliament and incorporated into the constitution. Separately, UML cadres staged a protest in Kathmandu at Maitikar Mandala, demanding the Prime Minister withdraw and correct his remarks, saying they undermine national dignity. Nepali Congress has strongly objected to Prime Minister Balendra Shah's remarks on the Nepal-India border issue in Parliament, calling them serious and sensitive. Party President Gagan Thapa, speaking at a program organized by the party's Policy, Research and Training Academy, said the Prime Minister's statement directly relates to national sovereignty, territorial integrity and diplomatic credibility. He added that while Nepal maintains a clear and evidence-based position on border matters, the remarks could undermine that stance and complicate diplomatic efforts to resolve the issue.
हामी राष्ट्रिय हितका विषयका सन्दर्भमा प्रतिपक्षमा हुँदै गर्दाखेरि हामी नाफाघाटा समर्थन वा विरोधको कुरालाई त्यसरी हेर्दैन आज पनि हेर्दैन केही समय अगाडि सरकारले एउटा वक्तव्य निकाल्यो सरकारले नोट पठायो भारतलाई सरकारले चीनलाई पठायो खास गरी मानसरोवरको यात्रा सुरु भइसकेपछि नेपाली कांग्रेस पार्टीको हाम्रै केन्द्रीय कार्य सम्पादन समितिले निर्णय गरेर सरकारको स्वागत गर्यो स्वागत मात्र गरेन सरकार तिमीसँग हामी साथमा छौं भन्यो एउटै दिन दुईटा निर्णय गर्यो सीमा विवादको विषयमा तिम्रो साथमा छौं भन्यो सुकुम्बासीमा तिमीले गरेको व्यवहारमा तिम्रो विरुद्धमा उभिन्छौं भनेर भन्यो यो कांग्रेसको क्यारेक्टर सम्माननीय प्रधानमन्त्रीजीले राख्नु भएको विषय निन्दनीय छ घोर आपत्तिजनक छ र नेपाली कांग्रेस पार्टीले यसको सम्पूर्ण रूपमा यसको विरोध गर्छ।
Thapa further warned that such statements may weaken the country's official position both domestically and on the international stage. Residents of Susta in West Nawalparasi have expressed concern after Indian authorities reportedly obstructed river control works aimed at protecting the area from flooding. As the monsoon season approaches, the delay in embankment construction along the Narayani River has raised fears of increased flood and erosion risks in the vulnerable border region. Our correspondent brings the report.
Construction of an embankment is currently underway along nearly 1 kilometer of the Narayani River in Susta, a historically significant Nepali territory located across the river. The federal government has allocated nearly 120 million rupees for the project to protect the area from riverbank erosion and seasonal flooding. However, plans to begin additional river control work about 132 meters from the current embankment site have been put on hold after objections from the Indian side. Although a contract for the extension has already been signed, local officials say work could not proceed after Indian authorities requested that construction be stopped.
सुस्ताको अपर पार्टमा चाहिँ थोरै चाहिँ बाँकी थियो हाम्रो काम गर्नलाई अनि त्यो सँगै अब हामीलाई अलिकति रिस्क हुन्छ भनेर हामीले आयोजनले चाहिँ सानो ठेक्का निकालिकन अब हजुरको सम्झौता गरेर हामीले काम अगाडि बढाउँदै गर्दाखेरि अब भारतीय पक्षले चाहिँ उहाँहरुले चाहिँ यो विवादित सीमामा चाहिँ हामी काम गर्न दिन्नौं भन्ने हिसाबले उहाँहरुले अलिकति इस्यु उठाएको हुनाले त्यो कामलाई चाहिँ हामीले अगाडि बढाउन सकेको अवस्था छ।
Despite discussions between border security officials from both countries on Sunday, the Indian side reportedly maintained that the area is disputed and that no construction should take place without mutual agreement. Chief District Officer Deepak Raj Nepal said the matter has been reported to Nepal's Ministry of Home Affairs, adding that India has argued that any work in the area should move forward only through bilateral consensus.
यहाँ टेका लागेको ठाउँमा अब निर्माण कार्य अहिलेसम्म सुरु भएको छैन। निर्माण कार्य सुरु गर्नको लागि खास गरेर हिजो हाम्रो सशस्त्र को टिम र इन्डियाको एसएसबी टिमले अब बोर्डर निरीक्षणको क्रममा पनि नयाँ निर्माणको लागि अब दुवै पक्षबाट चाहिँ एउटा सहमति भए पश्चात चाहिँ गर्नलाई उपयुक्त हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ उहाँहरूले राख्नु भएको छ।
According to local residents, India has obstructed the project, claiming that the embankment falls within a disputed zone. Of Susta's total area of 40,980 hectares, around 14,000 hectares are said to have been encroached upon, while another 19,400 hectares remain under dispute, thus limiting local access and use. However, Rabindra Jaiswal, spokesperson for the Susta Protection Campaign, insists that the embankment is being built on Nepali territory and warns that failure to complete the project could put the very existence of Susta at risk.
यो जुन अहिले काम भइरहेको छ नि त्यो लगभग 14 करोड काम 3 महिनादेखि
त्यो काम भएर पनि जुन अहिले थप 132 मिटर काम भयो भने जुन एसएसबीहरूले भारतीय पक्षलाई अवरोध गरेको छ भने त्यो सुस्ताको भूमि हामी जोगाउन सक्दैनौँ किनकि त्यहीबाट नदी नजिक आइसकेछ त्यहाँबाट नदी भित्र छिर्छ त्यसपछि पुरै सुस्ता सका पार्छ।
With the monsoon season just around the corner, local residents fear that any further delay in the river control project could leave Susta increasingly vulnerable to flooding and erosion. The dispute has once again highlighted the challenges of managing infrastructure and disaster prevention efforts in sensitive border areas.
That was our issue of the day. Coming up next is our cover story, where we take a closer look at the opposition's decision to challenge the House regulations in court over constitutional concerns. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Time for the cover story. The opposition parties have decided to challenge the newly adopted House of Representatives regulations in court, arguing that some provisions are unconstitutional and place lawmakers above the law. However, constitutional experts say the focus should be on amending legal weaknesses and updating parliamentary procedures to meet contemporary needs. Here's a report.
The newly enacted House of Representatives Regulations 2083 have sparked fresh political controversy, with opposition parties accusing the ruling party of undermining constitutional principles. Traditionally, parliamentary regulations that govern the functioning of the legislature are adopted through broad consensus. This time, however, the regulations were endorsed by a majority vote despite objections from the opposition lawmakers. One of the most disputed provisions is Rule number 259, which states that the parliamentary regulations shall carry the force of federal law in matters relating to the House, its committees and members, regardless of what other laws may provide. The regulations also recognize certain parliamentary privileges for lawmakers, including provisions that effectively prevent the immediate suspension of members of parliament facing criminal charges until allegations are proven. Opposition parties argue that such provisions place lawmakers above existing laws and contradict constitutional principles. They had called for further consultations and a consensus-based process, but claim their concerns were ignored. At a meeting held on Monday, opposition parties led by Nepali Congress decided to seek legal remedies and challenge the regulations in court.
हाम्रो विरोध चाहिँ हिजो त्यो नियमावलीमा जुन केही विषयहरू संशोधन गर्न पर्ने थियो त्यसलाई चाहिँ समितिमा पुनः फर्काइयोस् र अध्ययन गरेर त्यसलाई सच्चार ल्याइयोस् भन्नेमा चाहिँ हामीले विरोध गरेका थियौं। त्यहाँ नियमावलीको विषयलाई चाहिँ अलिकति चाहिँ गम्भीरतापूर्वक नै हेर्नुपर्छ किन नियमावली भनेको त देशकै भविष्य बनाउने ठाउँ हो, संसदकै सुशासन बन्ने ठाउँ हो, हैन, अनुशासित बनाउने ठाउँ हो। यसैलाई अनदेखा गरेर संसद कसरी चल्छ?
त्यो संसदमा भएका सदस्य सबैको अपनत्व हुने गरी नियमावली पास गर्नु पर्थ्यो, हाम्रो कुरा त्यो थियो। तर सम्माननीय सभामुख महोदयले खै किन हो त्यो विषयमा एकपटक हामी छलफल गरौँ, कुरा गरेर वातावरण बनाऊँ भन्ने तर्फ लाग्नु भएन। विगतमा पनि हाम्रा विमतिका विषयहरू हुन्थे, कहिले कसका हुन्थे, कहिले कसका हुन्थे। जसले नेतृत्व गरेको छ त्यो दलले राखेर सहमति गरेरै संसदको नियमावली सहमतिमै पास भएर आएको इतिहास हो। तर यसपटक विपक्षीलाई नाराबाजीमा उतारेर पास गर्ने जे खालको कुरा भयो यो धेरै दुखद कुरा हो। हामीले एउटा त्यो विषयमा विश्लेषण गरेका छौं।
Meanwhile, constitutional experts have offered a different perspective. They argue that the principle of presumed innocence should apply equally to lawmakers and ordinary citizens, meaning individuals should not be treated as guilty until charges are proven. Constitutional scholar Chandrakanta Gewali says some constitutional and legal provisions may require periodic revisions to remain relevant and effective.
सांसदलाई मात्रै होइन, सबै नेपाली नागरिकलाई
जरुरी छ कुनै पनि नेपाली नागरिकलाई पनि अभियोग लाग्यो हैन अभियोग लाग्यो दुई तहबाट चाहिँ प्रमाणित नहुँदासम्म निर्दोष नै हो सांसदलाई मात्र हैन सांसद त जनताबाट निर्वाचित भएर गए अनि जनतामा सार्वभौम सत्ता छ नि सार्वभौम त नेपाली जनता हुन् नेपाली नागरिकलाई पनि कुनै अभियोग लाग्छ भने उसलाई पनि कुनै सेवा सुविधा खोज्ने कुनै केही काम गरिरहेछ निलम्बन गर्ने यो चाहिँ गर्न मिल्दैन
The new regulations which came into effect on Monday also introduced several administrative reforms aimed at making Parliament more organized, transparent and technology friendly. Under the new rules, parliamentary agendas can now be distributed electronically to reduce paper usage. Lawmakers are also prohibited from taking photographs or recording videos inside the parliamentary chamber, while provisions relating to parliamentary conduct and decorum have been further tightened.
A parliamentary inquiry committee has been formed to investigate allegations of inappropriate and objectionable conduct by some lawmakers during Sunday's House of Representatives meeting. Speaker D.P. Orial informed the House that the committee has been established under Rule 33 of 4 of the House of Representatives regulations and has been tasked with submitting its report within 7 days.
प्रतिनिधि सभाको मिति 2083 साल जेठ 17 गतेको बैठकहरूमा सभाका केही मान्य सदस्यहरूले अव्यवस्था सिर्जना गरी अमर्यादित र आपत्तिजनक व्यवहार प्रदर्शन र भौतिक हानि नोक्सानी एवं क्षति पुर्याउने कार्य समेत रहेको बेहोरा प्रतिनिधि सभा नियमावली 2083 को नियम 33 को उपनियम 4 बमोजिम बैठक समाप्त भइसकेपछि सभामुखलाई विस्तृत जानकारी प्राप्त हुन आएको र आजै सो विषयका सम्बन्धमा मुचुल्का समेत तयार भइसकेकाले यस विषयमा आवश्यक थप जाँचबुझ गरी 7 दिनभित्र सभामुख समक्ष प्रतिवेदन पेश गर्ने गरी समिति गठन गरेको बेहोरा जानकारी गराउँछु।
The committee will be coordinated by House Secretary Prakash Adhikari and will include senior officials from the Federal Parliament Secretariat. The Speaker also noted that recommendations for further action may be made in accordance with parliamentary rules following the investigation. That's a wrap to our cover story. Now on to the rest of the updates. A special court has ordered former Speaker Krishna Bahadur Mahara to be released on a bail of 100,000 Nepali rupees in a corruption case linked to alleged gold smuggling hidden inside electronic cigarettes or vape devices. The Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority had filed charges against Mahara and 29 others, including his son. The case stems from a 2022 incident at Tribhuvan International Airport, where customs officials allegedly failed to inspect suspicious luggage and were accused of colluding with smugglers. Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle has projected that Nepal's GDP will reach 74.58 trillion Nepali rupees after the implementation of the upcoming fiscal year budget. Speaking at an interaction program organized by the Nepal Economic Journalists Association, he said the government aims to collect around 1.6 trillion rupees in revenue next year. Dr. Wagle expressed confidence that a 7% economic growth rate can be achieved while keeping public debt within 43% of the GDP.
The Prime Minister was specifically very adamant कि 50 लाखसम्मको गाडीमा चाहिँ नबढाउनु है। त्योभन्दा माथि चाहिँ त्यसलाई लग्जरीकै एलिमेन्ट हो, फरेन एक्सचेन्जको प्रिभिलेजलाई पनि हामीले चाहिँ फ्याक्टर इन गरौँ भनेर त्यो खालको प्राइसिङ भएको छ र आई थिंक honest businessmen are happy. पहिला कति तिगडम गर्नुभएको थियो तपाईहरुले गर्नु पर्या थियो। नेता कहाँ चाहेर पिक पावर बनाएको छ, माया गरेको छ, महालेखाले लखेटिरहेछ, बेरोजु निकालेको छ। म आएपछि यो लफडाबाट आउट बेस्ड अन भ्यालु एड भ्यालोरम गर्दिम, विलासिता र प्रोग्रेसिभिटीको सिद्धान्त समातम, फरेन एक्सचेन्जको प्रिभिलेजलाई पनि फ्याक्टर इन गरौँ र CIIF लगाइदिउँ।
Meanwhile, Nepal Rashtra Bank Executive Director Guru Podhal said foreign exchange reserves are mainly supported by remittances and stressed the need to boost domestic production and exports for sustainability. Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal has held a meeting with U.S. Under-Secretary of State of Public Diplomacy Sarah B. Rogers at his office in Kathmandu. During the meeting, both sides discussed ways to further strengthen the long-standing friendly relations between Nepal and the United States, which span more than 7 decades, according to the Foreign Ministry. They also exchanged views on expanding cooperation in investment, trade, culture and tourism. In a separate engagement, Minister for Information and Communications Dr. Bikram Timsina also met the visiting U.S. Under-Secretary Rogers at the ministry today. The two discussed bilateral relations along with cooperation in information technology, telecommunications, digital security and investment expansion. Under-Secretary Rogers reaffirmed the United States' interest in deepening collaboration in ICT and telecom sectors, noting growing interest from American companies to invest in Nepal, while emphasizing the need for a stable and investment-friendly policy environment. Later, the visiting U.S. Under-Secretary engaged in an interactive session with members of the press responding to questions on key aspects of bilateral cooperation. The discussion touched on issues of the visit, including diplomatic engagement, development priorities and collaboration. Government's decision to end the health insurance scheme for routine checkups or OPD services in private hospitals has sparked new debate. The Health Insurance Board's notice, however, says the scheme will still be available at government and community hospitals. The decision has directly affected over 10 million citizens enrolled in the program. Here's a report.
If you are currently using your health insurance card for free treatment, here is a key change you need to know. If you visit a private hospital for consultations or general checkups, the government will no longer reimburse those expenses under the insurance scheme. Insured citizens will now receive OPD services only at government hospitals. Alongside them, 27 community hospitals operating under the insurance program will continue to provide insured treatment services. The Health Insurance Board has clarified that this does not mean a complete shutdown of services in private hospitals. In emergency cases requiring admission and serious treatment, insurance coverage in private hospitals will still remain in place.
खास गरी नागरिकहरूको स्वास्थ्य बीमामा निरन्तरताका थुप्रै पक्षहरू छन्। पहिलो कुरा त गुणस्तरीय स्वास्थ्य सेवा नै हो। यदि नागरिकले गुणस्तरीय स्वास्थ्य सेवा पाएन भने चाहिँ बीमामा आबद्ध चाहिँ नभएको अवस्था देखिन्छ। अहिलेको अवस्थामा एउटा विषय चाहिँ हैन। थप चाहिँ अब अन्य पोलिसीहरू अब यसको स्किमको कुरा पनि हुन सक्ला। 1 लाख आफैमा सफिसिएन्ट हो कि होइन भन्ने विषय पनि हुन सक्ला हैन। अब सेवा प्रदायक घरमा अलिकति झन्झटिलो छ भन्ने पनि गुनासो प्राप्त हुन्छ। यो थुप्रै कारणहरूले गर्दाखेरि पनि नागरिकको चाहिँ आबद्धता हुँदाहुँदै पनि ड्रप आउट बढ्दो क्रममा छ। त्यसमा स्वास्थ्य बीमा बोर्डको प्रमुख दायित्व चाहिँ अब विशेष गरी आबद्धतामै हो हैन र यसका नीतिगत सुधारमै हो। तथापि चाहिँ सेवा प्रदायकबाट हुनुपर्ने जुन गुणस्तरीय स्वास्थ्य सेवा छ त्यो अपुग हुँदै गर्दाखेरि नागरिकको चाहिँ ड्रप आउट बढेको हुन सक्छ भन्ने हाम्रो अनुमान हो।
Board spends around 23 billion Nepali rupees every year on treatment claims for health insurance scheme beneficiaries. However, the government only allocated 10 billion rupees in the current fiscal year. Due to the deficit of more than 60%, the scheme suffered sudden halt even in some government hospitals, including TU Teaching Hospital, Maharajganj. 2 months before the current fiscal year concluded, the board still has outstanding payments of 18 billion rupees, including arrears of earlier years pending to various hospitals. Currently, the health insurance program is operating in 35 private hospitals, 441 government hospitals, and 27 community hospitals. Yet, nearly 40% of the total insurance expenditure is concentrated in just 35 private hospitals. Similarly, around 40% of insured citizens have stopped using the service. Although 10.7 million people are enrolled in the program, only about 60% have renewed their policies as of the mid-May 2026.
What began as a small health insurance scheme at Patan Hospital nearly 5 decades ago has evolved into Nepal's National Health Insurance Program, a nationwide initiative that now covers more than 10 million people, which aim to reduce the financial burden of healthcare on families. We look at the program's journey and its impact across the country.
यसमा अब राज्यले स्वास्थ्य बिमा गर्दाखेरि राम्रो भयो थियो अहिले हटाइसकेपछि धेरै गाह्रो भइरहेछ अनि त्यसमा पनि अझै सरकारले 3% भ्याट थपेका त्यसमा त अति नै गाह्रो भइरहेछ
उपचारमा प्रभाव पर्छ धेरै नै प्रभाव पर्छ अहिले म मेरो परिवारभित्रको एकजना सदस्य बिरामी भएर म अहिले युसिएमएस अस्पतालमा छु यहाँ नागरिकको एकदम व्यापक गुनासो चाहिँ अहिले यो सरकारले जुन बजेटमा यो नागरिकको यो स्वास्थ्य बिमा अनि यो 3% कर जुन लगायो यो चाहिँ एकदमै नागरिकहरूमा एकदमै हजुरको हतोत्साही
निजी हस्पिटलबाट हटाएको कारण के छ भने अननेसेसरी रिपोर्टहरू जुन चेकअप गर्थ्यो त्यस कारणले हो अनि पैसा पनि बगौता तिर्नु बाँकी छ गभर्मेन्टले भन्छ त्यो कारण पनि हो तर सबै उपचार चाहिँ यहाँ हाम्रो सरकारी हस्पिटलमा छैन जनतालाई घाटा हो नि घाटा जनतालाई हो नि अब सरकारले छानबिन गरेर यथाचित एउटा सिस्टममा चलाउनु पर्यो
यो वास्तवमा भन्ने भने यो सरकारले एकदम ठुलो एउटा अन्याय गरेको जस्तो लाग्छ गरिब जनताहरूलाई यो एउटा पेलेर गए जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ किन भन्दाखेरि यो स्वास्थ्य बिमाले गर्दाखेरि धेरै गरिबहरूले राहत पाएका थिए त्यो राहतलाई चाहिँ अहिले चाहिँ सरकारले एकदमै कुल्चेर गएको मैले देखेको छु
के त भनेपछि निजेर हडन बनाएको जो गरिब दुखीहरू छन् नि उनीलाई धेरै असर परिरहेको छ जस्तो आज नि म बिहान 10 बजेर यहीँ हस्पिटल आएँ आउँदाखेरि हामी पनि जस्तो म दाङबाट आएको मान्छे आउँदाखेरि बिमा थियो एकाको छैन भने सुविधा पाइसकेपछि पैसा तिर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ
यो बिमा हटाउँदाखेरि साँच्चै गरिबलेलाई अन्याय नै भएको देखिएको छ यो बिमा नहटाउने काम नेपाल सरकारले गरेको छ अब तपाईँको एमआरआई गर्नु पर्यो जस्तो हाम्रो त एउटा निश्चित पालिकामा सानो हस्पिटल हुन्छ त्यहाँ एमआरआईहरू गर्नुपर्ने ठाउँमा त्यहाँ नभइरहेर अब निजीमा जानुपर्ने हुन्छ सरकारी अस्पतालमा छैन अनि त्यो गर्दाखेरि रिफरको त अब यो काटेर अन्याय गरेको छ
स्वास्थ्य बिमा जुन पहिला निजी अस्पतालले इलेक्टिभ केसहरूलाई पनि गर्ने गरेको थियो अहिले चाहिँ नेपाल सरकारले इमर्जेन्सीलाई मात्रै गर्न भन्ने जुन तोकिदिएको छ त्यसले गर्दाखेरि अब हाम्रो यहाँबाट पहिला खासै रिफर हुने होइन अब पेरिफेरीको सानो अस्पतालबाट रिफर गरेर जान्थ्यो होला त्यो बिरामी यहाँ आउने भयो यहाँ आएपछि हामीले मेन पावरको हिसाबले त्यति असर नपर्ला
सरकारी निकायमै हुनुपर्ने हो अब अहिलेको हिसाबमा हजुरको सबैजना पैसावाला छैन अब प्राइभेट हस्पिटलमा पनि जाँच हुने जाँच गर्ने क्यापेसिटी हुँदैन त्यो भएकोले सरकारले नै यो नियमलाई चाहिँ फेरि सुचारू गर्दा राम्रो हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ
यो राम्रो होइन किनभने अलिकति दुईटै सिस्टम मिलाउनुपर्छ यता पनि उता पनि नभए एउटै अस्पतालले कहाँ काम गर्नु छ कि अस्पताल खोल्नु पर्यो
For many women and girls in Nepal, menstruation remains surrounded by silence, stigma, harmful practices and misinformation. A week-long menstruation fair in Palpa sought to change that thorough practical training, awareness programs and open discussions on menstrual health. Bijeta Bhandari, along with our local correspondent Sunil Karki, brings a report.
Face paints, homemade sanitary pads, and conversations addressing centuries of stigma. That is what was seen in the week-long menstruation fair in Palpa of Lumbini province, which sought to promote open conversations with the slogan, "Menstruation speaks, society changes." Menstruation remains a subject surrounded by stigma and misinformation in many parts of the world, including Nepal. According to the United Nations, millions of girls continue to face barriers to education, health, and dignity because of inadequate menstrual health awareness and resources. In Nepal, despite growing awareness and legal action against harmful practices, menstrual taboos and discrimination still persist in many communities. At the fair, 22-year-old Marina Pandey carefully listened instructions during a workshop on making reusable cloth sanitary pads. Marina said she had been searching for an affordable and sustainable alternative to commercially available sanitary products, which is exactly what the training offered.
मलाई यो एकदमै प्रभावशाली लाग्यो because हामीले बजारमा किन्ने प्याडहरु चाहिँ अब महँगो पनि छ त्यसमाथि सेन्सिटिभ अर्गन्सको लागि कहिलेकाहीँ सधैँ राम्रो पनि हुन्न त्यसमाथि वातावरणको लागि पनि यो धेरै राम्रो छ किन भन्दा धेरै एउटा बनाएपछि 2-3 वर्ष युज गर्न मिल्यो
Marina was not the only curious one. Among others was Inuja Basti from Baitari district in far western Nepal, who says she has personally witnessed and experienced menstrual restrictions, including practices linked to Chaupadi, a practice in which menstruating women are banished from their homes and forced to spend days in isolated sheds or animal barns.
अनि यसलाई चाहिँ आमा समूहहरुमा स्कुलहरुमा गएर पनि गरिराको रहेछ अनि यसमा चाहिँ अब जो जसले त प्याड किन्न सकिराछ उहाँहरुले त किन्नु भएको छ तर जोहरुसम्म चाहिँ प्याडहरु अहिलेसम्म पनि पुगेको छैन अनि जो त्यो एकदमै पुरानो मैलो कपडाहरु प्रयोग गर्नु हुँदैछ त्यहाँसम्म चाहिँ पुर्याउने प्रोग्राम जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई.
For many other similar participants, learning to make reusable pads and discussing menstrual health openly was both empowering and practical. While menstrual management may be manageable for some families, access to sanitary products, information, and reproductive health services remains a challenge for many girls, particularly in rural and economically disadvantaged communities. Organizers say the program was designed to address those gaps by promoting awareness, self-reliance, and informed choices.
युवतीहरुको नेचुरल प्रक्रिया मेन्सुरेसन त्यसको लागि यो हाम्रो यो अहिले पनि समस्या देखिरहेको छ भ्रमहरु फैलिएको सोसाइटीमा त्यो भ्रम अब कम फैलियोस् अब स्वास्थ्य जानकारीहरु महिलाहरुले राम्रो रूपमा पाउनुस् भनेर हरेक वर्ष 5 वर्षदेखि रोटरी क्लब अफ पाल्पा लुम्बिनी ले चाहिँ गरिरहेको छ.
The week-long initiative featured free health checkups, counseling on menstrual and reproductive health, training on reusable sanitary pads, awareness sessions on menopause, and distribution of education materials. A face art competition titled Colors of Womanhood also encouraged participants to express experiences and perspectives surrounding menstruation and womanhood through art. While the government of Nepal seems to be taking progressive steps in addressing menstrual stigma in Nepal through outlawing Chaupadi and removal of taxes on sanitary pads and menstrual products, interventions are still needed at communal and social level to see this not only as a matter of health, but also as a matter of dignity and rights.
International news coming up next. For now, a quick recap of the headlines. House of Representatives session deferred until Tuesday as border remarks trigger protest and political deadlock. Opposition parties warn of fresh parliamentary obstruction unless Prime Minister retracts border remarks. Susta residents alarmed as river protection work faces obstruction and rising flood threat. RSP Chair Ravi Lamichhane arrives India for a 5-day visit, received by BJP leaders at the Delhi airport. US and Iran exchange strikes as nuclear talks stall amid escalating Israel-Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon. And ICC approves global qualifier plan for Men's T20 World Cup for associate members. Also suspends Canada's membership. Israel's Prime Minister has ordered attacks on the southern suburbs of Lebanon's capital Beirut as the conflict with the Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah continues to escalate. Benjamin Netanyahu said terrorist targets in the Hezbollah stronghold of Dahieh would be struck in response to attacks on Israeli civilians and other violations of a US-brokered ceasefire announced in April that has failed to end the fighting.
הנחיתי את צה"ל לתקוף מטרות טרור בביירות. לא יהיה מצב שחיזבאללה תוקף את ערינו ואת אזרחינו, ומפקדות הטרור שלו בביירות, בדחיה, יישארו מחוץ לתחום. אנחנו ממשיכים להעמיק את הפעילות שלנו בשטח בדרום לבנון, מחסלים מעוזי חיזבאללה במנוסה. אנחנו נחושים להחזיר את הביטחון לתושבי הצפון, בדיוק כפי שעשינו לתושבי הדרום.
The latest escalation comes after Israeli troops occupying southern Lebanon crossed the Litani River to seize the 900-year-old Beaufort Castle that sits on top of a strategically important ridge. The French Armed Forces General Staff said the French Navy conducted a boarding operation on an oil tanker that had departed from Russia while sailing in the Atlantic Ocean, approximately 400 nautical miles off the coast of Brittany. Authorities said the vessel was intercepted during an operation carried out on the high seas, with naval personnel boarding the tanker as part of an ongoing maritime enforcement action. Meanwhile, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that France's seizure of a Russian oil tanker in the Atlantic was illegal and bordering on international police activity. The United States has issued a notice affirming its restrictions on shipments of semiconductors to subsidiaries of Chinese companies located outside China amid concerns about loopholes in Washington's export control regime. The Department of Commerce said in the guidance issued on Sunday that its licensing requirements for the export of advanced AI chips apply to all businesses with headquarters or a parent company in China. Unveiled in the final days of the Biden administration, the framework proposed the implementation of a globe-spanning licensing regime to control access to AI chips, including export caps for all but the closest U.S. allies. Now, the framework drew backlash from tech firms, including NVIDIA, the world's most valuable chip company, which cast the proposal as a threat to innovation and cross-border collaboration. Time for sports updates. And before that, we'll go on to business news.
French President Emmanuel Macron says France is expected to secure around 93 billion euros in foreign investment commitments at this year's Choose France summit. He says the investments will focus on artificial intelligence, data centers, advanced technologies, and industrial projects as France pushes to strengthen its digital infrastructure and economic growth. Macron adds the commitments are expected to generate thousands of jobs and enhance the country's global competitiveness, with world leaders and investors gathering to announce new expansion plans across France. Businesses across Vietnam are ramping up investments in energy-saving technologies as volatile global prices and stricter regulations push efficiency to the top of the corporate agenda. From hotels cutting electricity use by millions of kilowatt hours annually to manufacturers and farmers adopting smart systems like automated irrigation, the shift is delivering major cost savings. Vietnam's Ministry of Industry and Trade says the country aims to cut electricity use by at least 3% this year as part of a broader 2030 energy reduction target. NVIDIA has unveiled a new consumer-focused AI chip for personal computers, marking a major push into the AI-powered device market. Chief Executive Jensen Huang said the RTX Spark represents a reinvention of the computer, comparing it to the shift from mobile phones to smartphones during a keynote ahead of the Computex. The move challenges major players like Apple and Intel, while coming as the United States tightens export rules on NVIDIA's advanced chips to China. AI-powered robotic farming systems developed by researchers at Ankara University are transforming agriculture by automating key tasks such as planting, spraying, hoeing, and harvesting. Among the innovations is an autonomous planting robot capable of placing seedlings directly into soil without manual labor, described by researchers as a world first. The systems aim to tackle labor shortages and improve efficiency, while an AI-driven spraying robot can operate for up to 6 hours on electric power, offering a lower emission alternative with potential for wider adoption across Turkey and beyond.
Let's look on to the sports updates. Three Nepali cricketers have been picked for the 2026 edition of the Lanka Premier League, Sri Lanka's top franchise cricket tournament. Leg spinner Sandeep Lamichhane and all-rounder Dipendra Singh Airi have been signed by the Jaffna Kings, while opening batter Kushal Purthel joins Colombo Caps through the player draft. Lamichhane has been contracted for $20,000, while Airi and Purthel will earn $15,000 each. The tournament runs from July 17 to August 8, 2026. For Purthel, this marks his debut in overseas franchise cricket, while the others bring prior LPL experience. Now the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories once again. House of Representatives session deferred until Tuesday as border remarks trigger protest and political deadlock. Opposition parties warn of fresh parliamentary obstruction unless Prime Minister retracts border remarks. RSP Chair Rabi Lamichhane arrives India for a 5-day visit received by BJP leaders at the Delhi airport. US and Iran exchange strikes as nuclear talks stall amid escalating Israel-Hezbollah conflict in Lebanon. US tightens semiconductor export rules extending AI chip restrictions. That's all for the moment. do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltevworld.com for more information and news. I am April Singhlama. Thank you for staying with us. Good night.